Good evening and welcome to the September 18, 2018 business meeting of the Council of the Borough of Ringwood. This meeting is being broadcast live and will be replayed on Channel 77 throughout the week. Adequate notice of this business meeting has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Law, Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, setting forth the time, date, place, and purpose of this business meeting by consent agenda resolution number 2018-14, adopted January 1, 2018, through a legal notice published in the Suburban Trends issue of January 7, 2018, and through notices emailed to the following named newspapers and posted on the bulletin board at Borough Hall on January 3, 2018, the Suburban Trends and the Bergen Record. If you would, please silence all your electronic devices for the remainder of the meeting. Nicole, can I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Bolton?
Here.
Davison?
Here.
Ferretti?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Martucci?
Here.
Councilmember Noonan?
Here.
O'Keefe? Here. Mayor Spear?
Here. Also present, Borough Manager, Director, Department of Public Works, Scott Heck, Acting Municipal Clerk, Nicole Langenmeyer, and Borough Attorney, Richard J. Klemak. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First order of business this evening is proclamations and presentations. I would like to read this proclamation regarding Community Soberfest. Whereas the Alliance of Wanacue and Ringwood for Education and Awareness of Substance Abuse Prevention has coordinated the Community Soberfest, and whereas the aim of the Community Soberfest is an afternoon of fun and adventure, raising funds to support various programs such as DARE, Across Ages, LEAP, and Project Graduation, and whereas the Community Soberfest will take place on Saturday, October 20, 2018, between the hours of 12 noon and 4 p.m. at Spring Lake Day Camp, 234 Conklin Town Road, Ringwood, New Jersey. And now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Municipal Council of the Borough of Ringwood hereby proclaims Saturday, October 20, 2018, as Community Soberfest Day in the Borough of Ringwood in support for education and awareness for substance abuse prevention. I'd also like to make a comment. Our annual fireworks met up with some terrible weather. It was sneaky terrible weather. It didn't tell us it was going to rain till around 1 o'clock, and by that time we're committed and we're in. The fireworks were fantastic. It was about 27 minutes. It was really pretty awesome, and it was clear enough out that it was rather enjoyable to be out there. But I think one of the key things we like to do there is name volunteers of the year, and I want to make sure everybody understands who was chosen as the volunteer of the year for 2018. There was Mrs. Eileen Manley for over 20 years of dedicated service to the library and the Friends of the Library. There was Mrs. Linda Schaefer for 28 years, 20 years as president of the Ringwood Ambulance Auxiliary, amongst other things. All these people, I can't read their resumes. We don't quite have the time. We should put them in and put them out in full for everybody to see. And also Mr. Ben Mealy for his 1,000 hours a year given to the Ringwood Ambulance Corps and for his leadership and mentorship abilities. Just wanted to say thank you to all our volunteers of the year, and all our volunteers out there, and we greatly appreciate it. And sorry couldn't get the message out to more people last Saturday. Next on our agenda is the approval of minutes. What do you have, Nicole? The next is the executive session of June 19, 2018. All were present. Do we have a motion?
I'll move it.
Mr. Martucci, second.
Second.
Mr. Noonan. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bolton?
Yes.
Davison?
Yes.
Ferretti?
Here. Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci?
Yes.
Councilmember Noonan?
Yes.
O'Keefe?
Yes.
Mayor Spear?
Yes, thank you. Next is our business meeting of July 17, 2018. Councilman Noonan was absent. Do we have a motion? July 17th, 2018 business meeting minutes.
Um,
Thank you, Mr. Matucci.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Bolton. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bolton,
Yes.
Davison,
Yes.
Peretti,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci,
Yes.
Councilmember Noonan,
Abstain.
O'Keefe,
Yes.
and Mayor Spear.
Yes. Thank you. Next is the business meeting and executive session meeting minutes of August 21st, 2018. All were present.
So moved.
Mr. Noonan,
Second.
Mr. Davison. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Bolton,
Yes.
Davison,
Yes.
Peretti,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci,
Yes.
Councilmember Noonan,
Yes.
O'Keefe,
Yes.
Mayor Spear.
Yes. And finally, minutes of our special meeting and executive session on August 29, 2018. Councilman Noonan and Councilwoman O'Keefe were absent. Mr. Martucci,
Second.
Mr. Davison. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Bolton,
Yes.
Davison,
Yes.
Peretti,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci,
Yes.
Councilmember Noonan,
Abstain.
Councilmember O'Keefe,
Abstain.
Mayor Spear.
Yes. Thank you all. Next on our agenda is general public comment. At this time, anyone in the public wishing to address the mayor and council can come forward to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Please try to be brief with your comments, leave them at 3 minutes if possible. I'm sensing a lot of people are here for the introduction of the ordinance this evening, our amending chapter 40, entitled zoning regulations, prohibiting marijuana cultivation, production, marijuana manufacture and sale. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. We're just doing an introduction this evening. So all we do is really read it by title, we publish it. And then what happens is, because this is a zoning ordinance, it will go to the planning board. The planning board is going to have to look to see if it comports and matches with the master plan. Then it would be brought back to the council after the planning board, looks at it and makes their determination. That determination will come back to the council. And then the council will have a full public hearing on it and vote on the matter. So there's generally no time for public session regarding new business introduction by title of ordinances. But I'm getting a sense that that's really not going to fly with you people this evening. And I love public input. So I think for general public comment, we can start having this marijuana discussion so we don't clutter up the business. We can get these folks to state their piece and get out of here at a reasonable hour. And if they would be brief and non-repetitive and give us the courtesy of being able to get out of here in a reasonable hour, we can all get out of here in a reasonable hour.
Before we open it, can I make one comment?
Certainly.
Okay, at the last meeting, our nurse was very kind to get up and speak, and she delivered a wonderful packet on all the health benefits, and I want to thank her for that. But one of the things that she stated was she didn't feel comfortable up in front because of comments from the audience, which I think is very unfortunate. Getting up and speaking in front of a microphone is a difficult thing to do. Fear of public speaking is like number one on a lot of people's hit list, including yours truly. So when people get up to speak, as the mayor just said, your input is vital to everybody up here. So I would just ask that if anyone has anything to say, hold it until it's your turn at the microphone and give everybody their opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to comment before the public comments. This is an ordinance that is anticipating a law being passed. It hasn't been passed yet. As of now, marijuana is illegal except for medical purposes. Okay, what Ringwood is doing with about 30 or 40 other towns in the state have done is introduce and/or pass ordinances in anticipation of what this law will say. What we're reading off are bills in the legislature, okay? These bills give as written right now, give municipalities the authority to ban certain marijuana activities. Okay? Whether the final law passed by the governor will say that is another story. But right now, we're basically anticipating that Senate Bill 2703 or a similar Senate or Assembly bill will be passed in the form now presented. That may not be the case. After there's conferences in the governor's office with legislative leaders, it could change. So again, remember, we're anticipating an ordinance, a statute. It hasn't been passed yet. All right, thank you.
And also, before we start, Councilwoman, I've learned over the years to tune out various rude noises coming from the gallery. It's been required over the past few years. But if you hear something and it bothers you, please point it out quickly, and let's just get these people out of here, because I really don't, I think the disruptions are disrespectful and they're unnecessary, and they don't add anything to the public discussion. So I would love to give somebody the heave-ho if they're being disrespectful and rude to the point where they draw your attention. If you see it, please call it out.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I will.
Now, would any members of the public wish to take the microphone from me before I continue yammering on?
Good evening. I'm technically not a member of the public. I'm the police chief of this town, and I'm not here to discuss the merits of whether recreational marijuana should be legal or not. It's an ongoing discussion I've had for years, and since January I've been on the road. Everybody knows my position on that. Everybody knows the chiefs of police from the state, local, and international, drug counselors, etc. So I'm not going to go into that, even though I just did a little bit. As police chief, it's my duty and obligation to keep the people safe in this town, in particular the children safe in this town. Although the jury is out whether marijuana will be legal or not, municipalities have the option to regulate it, as the counselor just said. Now think about Colorado, where the citizens voted, not like New Jersey where the assembly is going to vote. The citizens voted to make recreational marijuana legal, and yet 65% of their municipalities, there are 271 in Colorado, 65% voted a similar ordinance that we're introducing tonight. Or you want to? So 65% of people in Colorado said they didn't want it in their town. In New Jersey, thus far, 4 counties, Monmouth, Ocean, Cape May, and Sussex, have voted, the whole counties voted for this legislation that we're going to pass or try to pass. 33 municipalities in New Jersey. Most recently was Clifton and Wayne and Bridgewater. Wayne passed it unanimously. Most of them all passed unanimously, by the way. Voted no for retail sales. Only 4 towns in the entire state expressed an interest in retail marijuana. And if you listen to those towns, you'll be scratching your head. It's Newark, Asbury Park, Jersey City, and Camden. They're the 4 towns that expressed interest in legalizing marijuana. And I don't think that's all on your bucket list to go live in any of those particular towns. Not being disparaging, but, you know, we're here for a reason. We're in Ringwood for a reason. Regardless of what the state of New Jersey says or does, it's still going to be illegal federally. Federal officers can hear any time and shut it down anytime they see fit. From a law enforcement standpoint, statistics are still coming in from Colorado. It takes years and years to collect these statistics. We have a problem with the driving with the marijuana issues. If they have a retail shop here, people are going to come here. They're probably going to partake as soon as they get it. And that means they're going to be driving under the influence in our town, through our parking lot, through our shopping centers. Drivers who tested positive in Colorado for marijuana and fatal accidents went from 55 in 2013 to 130 in 2017. Now, I gave you all a packet, right? I hope you all got it with all the statistics, basically what I'm saying. Citizens using marijuana increased 45% between 2013 and 2017. Use for ages 12 and older ranked 3rd in the nation, 85% higher than the national average. That's since they legalized marijuana in Colorado. Black market sales have flourished because people don't want to pay the price that they're getting at the retail shops. They don't want to pay the taxes. So they're still going to do the black market. Violent crimes have increased 18%. Property crimes increased 8% over this period of time. Retail shops attract questionable people. They're not all doctors, as I said before. They're not all lawyers. They're questionable people. I don't want to take my grandson to Dairy Queen and have a pot shop right next door. We take our DARE kids for pizza and ice cream at the end of their program. 15, 20 kids, pizza and ice cream. I don't want them to be subjected to a marijuana shop right there in the middle of the plaza, and people hang out there, they hang out in their cars, they hang out on the sidewalks, and you're gonna bring your kids there. Like I said, and it's proven, there's very questionable people that come to these shops. Some of them are honorable, but most of them aren't. Everybody's talking about encouraging tourism. I hear a lot of people say, well, we want tourism, we want shops that come into town. What man, what shop owner in his right mind is going to want to put his shop next to a marijuana dispensary? What tourism is going to be attracted by having a marijuana dispensary in your town? You're going to scare away people. You might put the ones over there out of business. The reason why Point Pleasant stopped, the first one to pass this ordinance, is because they were worried about their tourism industry. Because parents aren't going to bring their little kids down to a place where they're selling marijuana. It's kids mainly, that's what I'm talking about. Now, for those of you who don't know, in 1985, when I was a young man, the council at that time passed a drug paraphernalia ordinance. I don't know if you're aware of it or not. Are you aware of it? All right. The paraphernalia ordinance states, no person shall advertise, display, sell, offer to sell any instrument used, designed for use, or intended to be used in ingesting, smoking, or administrating, or preparing marijuana, hashish, hash oil, cocaine, or other controlled dangerous substance. Now, the prohibition shall apply to, and they have a list of everything, from cigarette rolling papers to pipes. Now, this has been enforced since 1985. Now, if you're going to pass, it'd be silly to have a marijuana dispensary and you have a contradictory ordinance that says you can't have implements to use it. But that's been enforced. And we do enforce it. You know, but sometimes people slip through the cracks, but that's true. It's my obligation, my duty to protect and serve the public. Make sure this town is safe. But as elected officials, it is also your duty and obligation. And that's all I'm asking for. I'm asking, as the law enforcement executive of this town, I'm asking for you guys to give me a tool in the event, and I understand what Mr. Klimak said, but by the time we go through this gauntlet of things that you want to go through, that vote might have already taken place, and at least we're ahead of the game. Because there's a gauntlet there, that's months.
That's the law.
Yeah.
It's a zoning ordinance, it has to go through.
But it's months.
Yeah, yes, yes.
So we're that far ahead of the game, because you only have 180 days once it passed to get this thing passed for an ordinance. You have a time limit.
That's in one of the Senate bills, yes.
Yeah, so you have 180 days to do it. What you're talking about is going to take more than that right now. So I need the tools from you guys. We're on the same team. We want to keep the kids safe, mainly the kids. And if I don't have the tools, we can't guarantee the job. You give me the tools, we will do the job. All right, thank you.
Sir, yes, name and address for the record, sir.
Yeah, I got that phobia too, talking in front of people. Yeah, you got an hour? No, I'm kidding. And by the way, I'm from Camden. Only kidding, Chief. My name's Skip McLaughlin, and I've been doing substance abuse treatment in this area for the last 32 years. In West Milford, I've treated all the people, all the kids, the adolescents, and adults in this area. Had a company called New Life Recovery Center, which is now in Pumpton Lakes, and I no longer work there, but I've seen a lot of what happens in the area with kids who start smoking marijuana. Okay, now and I'll start out with this and keep this real simple. All right, is that I'm not saying everybody who smokes marijuana goes to use harder drugs, but I could tell you one thing: after treating thousands of people, and I do mean that literally, in this area, every one of them, adult that I've treated, started with smoking marijuana. Okay? They didn't just jump to the hard stuff, okay? It was a gradual stepping stone. And my biggest fear, okay, when they talk about legalizing marijuana, and you know, and I'm not one who's going to jump on, yeah, legalize it, don't legalize it. I'm a drug counselor. That's, you know, I'm just, my position is pretty clear. But adolescence, okay, the adolescent brain and development of the adolescent brain, if somebody is smoking marijuana, okay, is constantly being manipulated, the brain is being manipulated by the THC that they've ingested in their body, which can stay there for 30 days, sometimes 6 weeks, and even though they're not high, okay, their brain is being manipulated by that drug because it's fat soluble, and the brain is mostly fat and water. Okay, so that's where it stores, okay, and that in turn leads to other substances, okay. It's not a matter any longer with marijuana of did you do damage or not. Anybody in here who ever smoked marijuana cannot say to me that they didn't do damage, because it's a matter of how much did you do. Okay, how much did you do? And a lot of the people that we see today, especially the kids, okay, they go for marijuana, and then the drug culture starts, and they start with their friends, and next thing you know, they're taking pills, next thing you know, they're drinking, okay? And you know, everybody says, and I tell you, parents these days, the ones that I deal with, and I do work in a high school now, I work at Pompton Lakes High School, but the parents we deal, well, you know, they're experimenting, I had this, I said they do experiments in laboratories, all right? Not in, down in a pond hole or down in the woods over here in Ringwood. That's where experiments happen. And when they get into that, we're just experimenting, he's just experimenting, that's damaging. That's damaging. So I really feel strongly about people being the best that they can be, and that's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen as long as they're using during developmental stages of the brain. All right? And that's who's smoking most of marijuana are the 14, 15, 16, 7th graders. I do assessments on people now when they just start using 7th grade. 7th grade! You know, most people don't even know what marijuana is. Back when I was in 7th grade, I was like, what's that? All right, but now it's come to pass where they're starting to smoke in 7th grade. You start to smoke marijuana in 7th grade, and you start to smoke marijuana all through high school, you are going to have some problems. Okay? You might not go to another drug, but you probably will. Because I tell you what, if they legalize it and people are allowed to access it easier, there's going to be more people who are going to try it, which in turn makes more people going on to other drugs. You know, Joe was just talking about the statistics that aren't in yet from Colorado. Check it out 10 years from now. See how the heroin and opiate epidemic is affected by that. Because I can tell you this, more people are smoking weed in Colorado than before it was legal. And I can tell you, guarantee you, that more people will be using opiates or other strong drugs because they were introduced to marijuana and say, well, gee, that wasn't that bad. Let me try this one. Okay, people think like that. And the cost, the money factor, if you get money in Ringwood, and let's say this ordinance doesn't pass, somebody opens up a shop down the street, okay, and you get some tax money. I got news for you. That tax money, okay, that you're going to get is going to go in another place, maybe not that tax money, but it's going to cost the citizens of Ringwood more because they're going to have to send more people into treatment. And it's going to cost in the workplace, it's going to cost for treatment, okay, so, and in the long run, financially, it's going to be a big deal. So, but thanks for listening. That's how I feel about it.
Hi, My name is Vanessa. I'm here as a Passaic County resident and as an environmental activist. I'm not here to talk about whether an ordinance should or should not be passed. But I do want to educate you guys specifically on...
Just name and address for the record. That's all we ask. Yeah,
Vanessa Paza from Little Falls, New Jersey. But I am here to specifically educate on the impact that marijuana businesses have on the environment. So as you guys know, Colorado is known for its booming marijuana industry, and they are still, however, they are struggling for with the environment, its impact on the environment and on public health. Even though marijuana farming is legal, illegal grows are a huge issue because people don't want to pay the taxes, they don't want to go through the red tape, so illegal grows are happening. It's not only in California, it's in Oregon, Washington, and Colorado. California's Department of Fish and Wildlife don't have the resources to inspect all illegal grows. Some illegal grows have turned into thousands of acres of toxic waste dump sites, and these toxic dump sites are full of legal and illegal fertilizers, as well as thousands of used butane cans for making the marijuana concentrates. Both legal and illegal grows use pesticides. And that's going into runoff water, going into our streams, our rivers, our lakes, and it's affecting the fish and the wildlife. In New Jersey, we need to protect the brown bats and the bees. Over the past decade, the population of those species have dropped dramatically. And they're the ones that pollinate our fruits, our vegetables. The bats eat the mosquitoes. So we live in an ecosystem where things affect, what we do affect our environment. Last year, NBC Los Angeles obtained 14 samples from 15 dispensaries in 4 counties, and 93% of them tested positive for pesticides. More than half of those samples tested positive for myclobutanil, which is a fungicide that when you heat it up, the chemical structure changes to hydrogen cyanide, which is highly lethal. If any of you guys know, it was what was used in German concentration camps during World War II. So hydrogen cyanide is dangerous, and mind you, the shops are saying that the marijuana products are safe and they're natural and that they don't contain any chemicals, when in fact these samples show that it did. So there is a failure in the system of regulations and mislabeling. Even in a regulated environment, the marijuana industry uses a vast amount of water and electricity. The energy to produce a single joint emits 3 pounds of carbon dioxide, which is comparable to leaving the TV on for 15 hours. A 2012 study reported that the U.S. cannabis production and distribution energy costs $6 billion and results in 15 million tons of greenhouse gas emissions, which is equal to the emissions of 3 million average cars. Now, Massachusetts, they've recently legalized recreational marijuana, and they realized how energy intensive the industry is, and they have set really strict rules on how much energy these marijuana businesses can use. And I have a graph here. I'm not sure how well you guys can see it, but the bar graph in the middle represents the cannabis high intensity grow light bulbs in comparison to the energy that is used for small, large businesses, full operation restaurants. So you see that the energy cost for just indoor marijuana production is very high. And this comes straight from the Massachusetts Department of Energy Resources. So you can go on Google, search up what the Energy of Resources Department in Massachusetts has produced, and it really does take a toll on the energy consumption. Not only in Massachusetts, but in California and all these other states that are doing indoor marijuana things. But that's my 3 minutes, so thank you guys.
Thank you.
My name is Ashley Brown. I'm from Butler. However, I am a former Ringwood resident, and I have family here, including my younger sister, who is a sophomore at Lakeland High School. So I want to speak a little bit about the youth, and specifically Ringwood youth, that coming from my sister, saying that there's many students in Lakeland that use vaping devices, which is electronic nicotine delivery system. And whereas many people are aware that these devices are being manipulated in a sense where THC is being able to be put into these vaping products. So therefore, we're sending a message to the youth that they're smart. they know what they're doing, right? So that is an increased youth. So just to kind of reiterate a little bit, I know that we don't want to repeat ourselves many times, but allowing the wholesale or retail of marijuana in Ringwood would definitely increase, of course, the availability and the accessibility, especially to our youth. And it's also sending that message that it's approval, right? It's approval for these kids to use. And in a sense, to kind of make that connection, marijuana is the big tobacco, right? So thinking that when tobacco is advertised in a sense that it's a safer alternative, just as these vaping is a safer alternative, right? That's sending our message to the youth that it's okay to use, right? So just on the flip side, also talking about, as many people are under the impression that economically it's going to do better for us, right? Colorado has definitely reported since then the increases of traffic violations, definitely for fatal car accidents, hospitalizations, and more calls to the poison control centers. And that was specifically for reporting children using, and also for children consuming what someone will mention are the edibles, where the amount of THC in that is way higher than just the plant itself. So again, these products are being manipulated for a higher THC levels, more increases in the poison control calls, and that's impacting our youth. And just a personal story, as a person that a grandmother was a victim of a car accident where the individual who had crashed into her had, luckily she's alive, but she was very hurt. But the person that had hit her had 4 different substances in them. So one including alcohol, but others, there are many different substances in them. But if we legalize marijuana and saying that alcohol is legal, right? And if we legalize marijuana, we're again sending that message that there has to be more regulation around it. There's going to be more enforcement piece to it. That's going to cost more money. So that's my side story, so thank you.
My name is Peter Haverlook, lifetime Ringwood resident, 118 Cheshire Lane. I'm going to talk to you guys about edibles real quick. So, just to kind of break it down, if we look at like a marijuana cigarette from 1995, containing about 4% THC. If we look at the edibles in today's market, they're looking at about 95 to 98% THC. So we're going to talk about allowing wholesale or retail establishments are one step away from adding edibles to Ringwood. Edibles are the products made up from marijuana with a THC content up to 95 to 90% pure THC. Edibles make up about 47% of the marijuana sales in Colorado. Edibles are kind of dangerous now because they're really attracting them to the youth and the younger kids, okay? They come in shapes, colors, and sizes that are attractive to little children, like gummy bears, lollipops, cupcakes, Pop-Tarts, soda with names like Diesel, Orange Crush, cereal bars, Fruity Loops cereal, Cat and Munch, Crispy Treats. I mean, the list kind of goes on. Then you have the adult products with infused vitamin water, wine, beer, candies, cookies, tea, hot chocolate. Anything you guys can think of that would be consumable in today's market can be infused with THC, which kind of makes it really dangerous because you won't even notice the difference. The Colorado, everything that's going on over there, sees the aggressive marketing for the free samples, billboard advertisements, just like the other tobacco tactics did. Like many years ago, where they were marketing cigarettes to be healthy and cool and sexy, they made candy cigarettes for kids. Now the Big Tobacco 2.0 is targeting the youth kids again. So the marijuana legalization has spurred a boom of pot edibles, and it's mixed into almost anything like I mentioned, and they're taking up a little bit more than half of the market. It's coming dangerous because I'm coming to you now as a father. Dude, I have a 3-year-old son. Halloween's right around the corner. If someone was given a Halloween candy and wanted to be funny and kind of replace anything with THC, you would not know until after your child consumes it. And the dangerous part is, as soon as you take it, it doesn't kick in right away. We're talking about side effects at 30 to 45 minutes after consumption. So you have people who will be showing up at shops, walking down the street, eating them, getting in their car like it's safe to drive, so you want to go around town. 20 minutes later, next thing you know, now you're intoxicated. It's dangerous. It needs to be taken serious. I know this is kind of a preemptive strike into what's going to happen, but I don't want this in my town. And this is coming from someone who grew up in Ringwood, who consumed a well amount of THC and who led into many other paths. I don't want my son to go down that road, and I don't want anybody else's children or grandchildren to go down the road that I did with experimenting, not in a lab, right here in this town, right where everyone goes every day. The edibles are getting scary because if I had a gummy bears and passed you out and made one edible, you guys wouldn't even be able to know the difference. And they're also getting you, because even if you take a pack of cookies, for example, they'll give you 2 cookies in the pack, half of one cookie is one full serving. So if someone does get access to it and you consume a whole cookie, that's 2 servings. That's more than enough to put you to sleep. So it's like, even with the gummy bears, if you just take just the head, that's more than enough to do a damage than if you smoked a half a pound of marijuana. So it needs to be taken kind of seriously. Like I said, I don't want to have to take my son to the same Stop and Shop where there's Dairy Queen and him having to find an edible on the ground, me not being able to watch him 1,000% of the time. He picked it up real quick, put it in his mouth. I'm not going to know anything about an hour later and I see him going crazy. Just kind of got to raise some awareness to you guys. Thank you for your time.
My name is Dolores McGuire. I'm from Wayne, New Jersey, but I am a volunteer with New Jersey RAMP, which is New Jersey Responsible Approaches to Marijuana Policy. And so I'm here just to give some more statistics and some more information. This is about marijuana in the workplace. Okay. Okay, this is about marijuana in the workplace. Allowing wholesale or retail establishments in Ringwood is a step away from making our youth unemployable by delivering the message that allowance equals acceptance. There's many large corporations and industries nationwide that conduct drug testing: Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, the police and fire departments, transportation, to name a few. As marijuana remains federally illegal, recruiters for federal agencies are arriving on university campuses in those states with the sobering message that marijuana use will not be tolerated. An example would be if you had marijuana in an agency that you guys, say you have somebody watching your kids in a daycare center, maybe somebody in an elderly nursing home. If they're on marijuana, would you really want your child or your elderly patient being watched by somebody who's high? Insurance companies have become a growing concern among companies in legalized states because if marijuana use is allowed and drug testing ignored, employers are at risk of liability claims when a marijuana-related industry or illness occurs on site. Marijuana legalization has had serious ramifications for businesses across legalized states. Increased marijuana availability and use has also increased the number of employees testing positive for marijuana in the workforce. In the 3-year period following legalization in Colorado and Washington, positive oral fluid tests results for marijuana use increased almost 75% from 5.1 to 8.9, and that's a Quest diagnostic quote. Marijuana urine tests in Washington and Colorado are now double the national average. Again, Quest diagnostic information. As an example, there's a CEO of a large Colorado construction company, G.E. Johnson, has said that his company has encountered so many job candidates who have failed pre-employment drug tests because of their THC use that he is actively recruiting construction workers from other states. A study conducted in Washington during 2011-2014 found that the percentage of work-related injuries and illnesses were significantly higher, 8.9% among marijuana users than non-marijuana users. Is Ringwood ready to give a message that is allowance equals acceptance? Thank you for your time.
We're not done.
We're done.
Almost. Jeanette Davison, 165 Lakeview Ave, lifelong resident and the public health nurse. And I did submit paperwork to all of you with some of my thoughts. And I just want to restate, I understand that we don't want to have laws that have no meaning or are unnecessary. However, I do think we have to be proactive for once in our lives as a community, to be proactive, not reactive. And I can't say that enough, because so many times we do it after the fact. And a perfect example is what I'm going through right now with Lakeland. 3 years ago when I took the position, I saw someone vaping on their grounds, and that's when I started to learn about this. I had never seen it. Didn't even know what it was. And I went to them and I said, what is this? We need to get on this. And now, all of a sudden, they have a huge problem at the high school, and they're trying to figure out how they can fix what has happened in 3 years. And I'm part of a disciplinary team now, and we're trying to do an educational component to their penalty so that it's not really just discipline, it's more education of why they can't do it. So I think it's important that we really do think about this and get ahead of it, because like someone said, it's going to take a long time to go through the zoning board. I didn't realize that. I'm new to politics. I don't really know. I just, I didn't know it would take that long. Other towns seem to make a decision and they do it. So let's not wait too long, and let's really try to get this done and make the right decision that's good for our whole community, not just a select few who want to make money, sell it, and do it for the wrong reasons. Because I really don't believe it's safe for anyone, and especially the youth. So that's all I have to say.
Anybody else like to address the mayor and council?
We need to get New Jersey 100% open space and farmland in the historic society and the Board of Education and all the agencies in Passaic County, and we need to have every state regulated about drugs and marijuana to get it better.
If there's no one else seeking to address the mayor and council, I will entertain a motion to close public session.
Got it.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call on closing public?
Councilmembers Bolton?
Yes.
Davison?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci?
Yes.
Councilmember Noonan?
Yes.
O'Keefe?
Yes.
Mayor Spear?
Yes. Thank all you folks for coming out this evening.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Here's the setup. Okay. Plowing onward. There being no old business, we can move on to new business. That being the introduction of ordinance number 2018-13. Counselor? if you
Yeah, a
would.
motion to read by title, please.
Do we have a motion? Mr. Martucci. Second on read by title?
Second.
Mr. Davison. Roll call on read by title?
Councilmembers Bolton?
Yes.
Davison?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci?
Yes.
Councilmember Noonan?
Yes.
O'Keefe?
Yes.
Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Ordinance 2813, an ordinance amending Chapter XL entitled Zoning Regulations and Revised General Ordinances of the Borough of Ringwood County, Passaic State of New Jersey, prohibiting marijuana cultivation, production, manufacture, and sale.
I'll move it.
I'll do a resolution if there's no discussion. I'll do a
Do
resolution.
you want to have any discussion at this point? Did everybody grasp my point there? This does have to get back out to the planning board. It's being presented as a zoning ordinance. I guess what Jeanette was mentioning is maybe, can you do it as under your general police power
Well,
to do that?
well-
Like we don't sell, we don't permit the sale
Yes.
of marijuana
Yes.
paraphernalia. That's under a police power, that's not under a zoning
Yes, I
power.
understand that. Some of the
Sure you
ordinances,
do,
yeah, some of the
Counselor.
ordinances.
I'm kind of
Yeah,
confused.
Right, some of the ordinances that have been passed do it under the police power. Most have done it as a zoning ordinance. Now, there is not this ordinance delay, because in a normal ordinance, there's a month between introduction and passage. This could also be a month here, depending on how fast the planning board does, or you could wait another month. But there's no 4, 5, 6, 8 month delay. At the most, it might be 30 days longer than normal. But you could set it down for next month, and assuming the planning board diligently addresses it, then you could take whatever action you want to. Or if you feel that the planning board needs more time, then you can carry it another month. It's certainly up to you.
I know the planning board just had a meeting last week, but prior to that, it was about 3 or 4 months since we had a meeting, because there's not much business ahead of us. I did not check with Helen today, that's my bad. I want to check with Helen today to see if there was something on the, if there's, it would be a shame to have this the only reason to call out the planning board, you know? That's my thought.
I will tell you that there's been people in our office, I don't know if that's Board of Adjustment or planning board, but there's been people in our office.
Yeah, I think Board of Adjustments begin most of the work.
Mayor, I have to excuse myself, I have to make a phone call really quick. We have a tree down, it's a power out, so I'm gonna make a really quick call, and I'll be right back.
If you could fix that, that would be awesome. Thank you.
So the police reconnect the power.
Yep.
I mean, in terms of the date that we set for adoption, my personal preference would be for more time, in the hopes that whether something is passed or not would become clearer, so that we're sure that we're taking everything that needs to be factored into account. But then also when we are asking for public input in force, it's against a clear backdrop as opposed to residents speaking in the hypothetical and asking any proponents to come up and give their name and address in support of an illegal activity that may remain as such for a while. Also in the direction of public input and trying to do research and learn about how other states and municipalities have handled this. One of the advantages, for better or worse, that states like Massachusetts have had is that because it was on the ballot within each municipality, people know how their residents voted. So maybe it passed at the state level, but it failed within the community, and the governing body is allowed to take that into account. And that's something that we don't have as a New Jersey town. And so ideally, in my mind, it would be something that we could put on the ballot in November so that residents within the community could actually let us know how they view the issue as well.
I think it's too late to put anything on the ballot.
In terms of, not obviously regarding the legalization, but just like within the town.
Yeah, even that kind of just an informational referendum. I think all that stuff had to be in, beginning of September?
Several months ago. I'm not gonna ask Nicole.
Oh, no. But
Yeah, it's a little unfair to ask Nicole or previous two acting clerks would, or not the people we can ask.
even if it were non-binding.
No, you can't get it
No,
on the
just
ballot.
the printing.
The printing's done.
That's the
Gotcha,
printing.
gotcha,
Because they did just the lawsuit this
Oh,
week
yeah.
about ballot position was after the cutoff, and they still have forced a change in the ballot printing, so it's a big deal. Yeah.
That makes absolute sense. Then I think my other comments are around the wording of the ordinance itself, or the addition to the zoning regulation, with the goal of perhaps tightening it up and really narrowing our focus to the concerns that we're hearing from the community, and just having it simply state non-medicinal or recreational marijuana retail sales and stores are prohibited in all zone districts. And not.
Yeah, I see your point. You know what it is? We have to go by what we think will be the law. Let me explain something. We want to make sure we're adhering exactly and precisely to the contours of what the law will currently be.
Each statute
Yeah.
has its own definitions.
Yes. I'm reading from Section 12 of the Senate bill. A local government entity may prohibit the operation of, and here it's very technical terms, marijuana cultivation facilities, marijuana product manufacturing facilities, marijuana testing facilities, or marijuana retailers through the enactment of a local ordinance. Now, every one of those is defined expressly in this statute, in this bill. I'll give you some of the definitions so you know what it's covering. Marijuana cultivation facility means a facility licensed to be a Class 1 marijuana grower to grow and cultivate marijuana, to sell marijuana to marijuana product manufacturing facilities, and to offer marijuana cultivation facilities but not to consumers. There's another one. Marijuana establishment means a cultivation facility, a testing facility, a marijuana product facility, or a marijuana retailer. It goes down. Marijuana processor, marijuana retailer, marijuana testing facility. So what I did was to be exactly in accordance with the proposed statutes to take their terms. Okay. So and by taking their terms, we're using their definitions also, because the statute says we can pass a local ordinance banning those things. They identify them and they identify them and define them. I know I'm being a little technical here, but I'm trying to be precise in terms of what the bill proposes.
So then, sorry, in the consumer aspect, does the bill distinguish between medicinal versus recreational?
No, this medicinal is a separate bill. Is a law that exists right now, the Marijuana Compassionate Care Act. That we're not addressing at all. The state will control that, where dispensaries are, et cetera, et cetera. We're just talking about those other issues. We are not talking about medical. The authority on local ordinances in this bill does not refer to medical at all. So that's not an issue for us at this time.
So by default, retail means recreational?
Yes. As I said, it is defined precisely in the bill, yes. It does not mean medical.
So then, part of the conversation that I guess we haven't had is around those other aspects or those other types of businesses that can participate in the overall industry, if you will, and where that may or may not fit within our community, especially given some of our revenue challenges. And in full appreciation of all of the input and issues raised by the community this evening, I think that has been primarily focused on the impact to our children and our community of a retail establishment, and not necessarily something that we would have the same concern with a hydroponic warehouse in the industrial park that would suddenly present a new rateable, but be sort of out of sight, out of mind, and not really present any kind of conflicting message to our children, but potentially helping us with our bottom line from a tax perspective.
Part of the problem, Mayor, that you have with the industrial park, with the Highlands Act, if in fact there's not an existing structure there, you're not going to be able to build an existing structure to house this type of thing because of the restrictions for development. And as an example, all the land in the industrial park that's not been built on, with the exception of 1 or 2 small lots, has been purchased for open space or the development rights have been sold. So when we're talking about that, when you're talking about development in this end of town, there's very few opportunities because of the Highlands Act and because of the development rights and the open space and whatnot. So just keep that in mind.
And even in terms of improvements to an existing structure, whatever the mechanism may be, if it does not jeopardize the community or our children, but presents an opportunity to aid our bottom line, I'm very hesitant to close the door on those opportunities when they are so few and far between for us. And again, we're kind of, to some extent in this area, answering a question that no one's asking. Right? Nobody's called up to say, hey, I would like to set up shop here, but I would at least like to not send a message that it's not worth even calling or looking.
We've had a lot of people call Borough Hall talking about the interest of acquiring land here for this purpose. We ourselves here have had some questions. Keep in mind, though, if you're passing a zoning ordinance to regulate anything, that's because you're planning. You do that all kinds of ordinances, whether you do GB80 or I-120, whatever. It's in anticipation of what you think is going to come, and your remedy to any zoning ordinance that you put in place would be to go before the Board of Adjustment. If you believe there's a suitable use for a particular lot and there's a reason for it, that's what the Board of Adjustment does. So it doesn't fit that low.
And that makes sense. I guess I personally just wouldn't be looking to add any unnecessary hurdles. I mean, to even list testing. So let's say we have a lab testing facility in an existing space. Small business owner in town, employing people. I would just see no reason, at least that I've been made aware of, for us to stand in the way of that.
Yeah, for instance, Coca-Cola is looking at the cannabis industry, but not for the THC. Actually, what they're looking for is a CBD. Have you ever heard of it before? This was in Bloomberg. I just saw it in the Bloomberg News yesterday. And basically, there's a non-psychoactive ingredient in marijuana that treats pain but doesn't get you high. So they're looking to come up with a health drink that reduces inflammation and also with pain. So to Ryan's point, I get the concern of the community. I raised 3 children in this town also, and I don't want them walking past a pot shop when they're going for pizza either. However, if there is something, is this going to block something like CBD, which doesn't have a psychoactive ingredient and is used for medicinal purposes? If we say you can't manufacture cannabis, does that include something like
That
this
would-
or preclude it?
That would be controlled by the FDA. Would be controlled by us. It's a product for sale.
But if we're saying you can't manufacture it, would that be included since it is,
Manufacturing would be more like growing.
yeah, that's
Okay.
what they would get it from.
I'm not, obviously, I don't know the distinctions that you brought up, but I'll to give you the definition of marijuana testing facility.
Okay.
Marijuana testing facility means an independent third-party entity meeting accreditation requirements established by the division that is licensed to analyze and certify the safety and potency of marijuana items. Again, I don't know if how that fits into what you said.
Yeah.
That's, that would have to be a lot of research and thinking, but that's how it's defined in the statute.
It seems to me the concern for people is the retail sale of THC. THC is the active ingredient in marijuana. So you can get that whether it's in an edible or a plant form, whether you need paraphernalia or not. What it comes down to is, I think it's the retail sale of THC that people are concerned about. So, I don't know, does zoning have to be involved even with, can we just prohibit the retail sale of THC in the borough of Ringwood, and that would satisfy what's been proposed to us by the public, that, you know...
Exactly. What we might want to do is, we want to track with the language of the, whatever state statute comes out. But we think we do want to cut off on the retail. I can see that, industrial facilities wouldn't have the same impact as a retail store would. It's all pretty remote, there's no good way to travel in and out of here. There's only going to be so many of these places, so the odds are, that Ring would be attractive to somebody in the business is remote, but we don't have to foreclose on the idea. So we could cut off that portion of it that says marijuana cultivation facilities, marijuana production and manufacturing facilities, marijuana testing facilities. Take that out and say marijuana retail sales and stores are prohibited in all zone districts. We can come in and say marijuana cultivation facilities, production or manufacturing facilities, and marijuana testing facilities are permissible in the I-120 and GBA or I-120. We can make it a conditional use based on certain conditions, that their property be in this particular zone and this far away from another use, a school or a animal shelter or whatever.
Right.
We can do these things, but we want to start the conversation. That's another impression that I got from the rather well-behaved and orderly crowd.
Excellent crowd.
A crowd that leaves is one of my favorites.
I feel very alone.
Not everyone left, and you don't want to make.
That's true. So we can do that. We can start the conversation with. I don't know. What are your thoughts? The commercial aspects of it. I would only be upset if it was a marijuana testing facility and the guy had a fleet of Volkswagen Beetles with big plastic marijuana leaves sticking out, and he's driving through town to go pick up stuff at every different retail joint. That would kind of irritate me. But other than that, I don't see the hurt.
I got a conflict with the whole thing. One, we already have ordinance on the books. It's a long time on any paraphernalia, okay, which some instances in direct conflict with. So we could be superseding current ordinance on the books, which to me would be a slap in the face to the police department. And again, I don't see any benefit being derived from any of this stuff. Okay. I'm sure there's other towns, but that might find a place for it. It's manufacturing, testing, whatever. I don't think Ringwood is twice heard the amount of towns that are passing ordinances against any of this stuff. Okay, in terms of taxes, you know, unless somebody bought up acres of land, okay, that would help the property tax. In terms of sales tax, according to the bill, and according to the information I read, it's still to be determined as to what it's going to be, how it's going to be divided up, how it's going to be used, and the end result, what the town would actually get for the increased expenses in monitoring and on the police department side, on looking if manufacturing would be literally buying property and growing it in a field. So someone would have to police that to make sure that, you know, it's not being utilized illegally for other people upon it. That's part of the manufacturing, okay? Or, and then the other part of the manufacturing would be, you got to harvest it, you have to dry it, and then you have to put it in a form that it can be sent to the retailers, okay? So, if we're saying paraphernalia, if we have law in the books, it's already saying paraphernalia of various types is illegal. And now we're saying, well, yeah, it's legal, but we can sell.
Just on a really big scale, we're okay with it, right?
Right.
Yeah, and we're okay on the industrial side of things, but not the, yeah, I see what you're saying. Councilman? Do you send this to the planning board as is? Do we?
Separating out the retail from the stores, from the manufacturing, production, I'd like to see I'd like to see a little more information on that, but completely closing the door, you know,
Yeah.
I would have I mean.
It's exactly that. It's completely closing the door. You don't want to do that until you've actually.
Get a little more information on that, I mean.
Well, if we send it to the planning board, set our public hearing for November 27th, which is our November meeting. There'll be, 2 full months. There'll be a public hearing at the planning board on it. And,
plenty of industries that exist,
Yes.
that aren't retail based, that if people realize they were around in their backyards, that are just not, out there. So I wouldn't want to completely close the door on something like that because of the possible tax benefits, utility benefits,
Yeah.
purchasing water.
Selling water, we need to sell water.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yes, they talked about vaping, and that's a big thing that is happening in our schools, and it's in the papers. My daughter's doing a project on it for her high school. Is that covered under that ordinance where they can't sell paraphernalia, or can they sell vaping right here in the gas stations and stuff like that?
That's a tobacco.
Yeah,
So
that's a good point.
Right?
We have to
So
look
that's
that up,
readily
yeah.
available, because they're making that taste like candy and strawberry, I mean, and it's really a problem
That ordinance was
with our
passed-
children.
Yeah, that ordinance was passed long before this issue ever came up. It was
Vaping.
85.
There was a copper
We never heard
telephone
of it.
wire
Yeah.
out there. It's a little bit different.
So, yeah, because that's, we're talking about what may come with this new law, but right now, this
But
is a big.
I believe the one
play
gentleman
going on.
who spoke about the vaping talked about modifications of the device to introduce the THC. It wasn't
Yeah,
the
they
original
can
device. So, modifications are, I guess, would be deemed illegal and because of the material.
Yeah, they're doing it.
So,
And how do you tell
Yeah.
the difference?
that's,
Yeah,
and
you can't
that's,
tell the
They all
difference.
smell like fruit punch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're making them taste like candy. And they're getting the kids addicted to nicotine at a young age, so I'd like to see vaping devices banned in Ringwood today if we could.
Not today.
Not today.
Not today.
Not today.
Not today. We can look at that. We can can talk about it. Then maybe that gets done under the police power along with with the marijuana accessories. I don't know. But yeah, but the comments from the audience took the subject farther afield than I expected it
Oh,
to be
yeah.
anyway.
They looked at everything.
So I don't want to further confuse or diffuse the issue. Okay, so we want to send this to, we want to make our public hearing on the matter. We want to make that November 27th, 2018. We want to send it to our planning board for the municipal land use law required check on its comportment with our master plan. We can send it down as is. We don't have to strip that out. We can send it down with a letter or a note saying, the sense of the council is that only marijuana retail sales and stores should be prohibited in all zone districts, and marijuana cultivation facilities, marijuana production or manufacturing facilities, and marijuana testing facilities may be permissible in certain districts, under
Conditional.
certain conditions.
Certain conditions.
And get the planning board's take on it. See what comes back, because we're definitely not going to be able to tease out all the conditions and all the zones and everything else tonight. We're not figuring that out. But we will have 2 months and a planning board hearing in which to get our feet, planted on the ground on the facts of the issue.
Some procedural, Mr. Mayor, some procedural issues there.
How about the chief? Whatever the chief said.
That's a
very
plan,
good
Walt.
policy.
And he brought backup if you didn't notice.
You know that they were all lined up behind him.
This ordinance is published as is, and it's sent to the planning board. And it comes back with serious modifications. If all the other, and I'm not talking about the merits of the procedure. Say 4 of the 5 issues are deleted. This may have to be, you may have to have another publication because it's such a significant deviation from what was published and advertised to the people. Okay? All right? So if this comes back, if you send it as is, and if the planning, however the planning board comes back with their recommendation, okay? Let's assume it comes back, for argument's sake, just sales. Okay? Well, that would be a significant deviation from what we published and advised the public that we are considering. We'd have to republish that. Okay? Just so you know that. All right? Assuming that's the change.
I'm pretty good with that because we are so late in November with that meeting. What do we need? 2 weeks publishing time, Counselor?
Yeah.
Right, so we have to publish on the 13th. So we got to have a planning board meeting sometime in October. They're usually like the first Monday or so, if I recall correctly. So we would have a good sense right then. We actually have our own council meeting. In the meantime, we can take in their comments and make modifications and republish if that's what we want, and still hold this date as our public hearing. Correct?
Well, if the planning board is that diligent in getting back, yes.
Yes,
If
we
they
will,
need it,
we will have to
yes.
inspire some diligence amongst our
Planning
the planning board.
And when you say republish, it's not like we would be back to like first reading. It just be like.
No, we advise them, that there's a new second reading. That's what.
You'd start over.
Yeah, that's right. In other words, say you come in on the 27th, okay, and you make the change. This is assuming arguendo, this is all theoretical, of course. If you come back on the 27th, there are significant changes, then you would just set the final hearing for the next meeting, which would be December, whatever it would be.
Right.
Yes.
It would be like a new introduction.
If another meeting delay, 1 month, let's assume another month.
So we can get this wrapped up in December at least.
Yeah. And if the bill goes through, it'd be 180 days. The governor wants to pass it this month, from what I've been reading.
They took 2 Senate bills and 1 Assembly bill, and they hid them for 6 weeks while they ground out the sausage of legislation. They're going to show up one day. It's going to go into the Assembly, the Senate, and his desk all in one day. You're not even going to get a chance to read it. Next thing you know, we'll download it and see what it is.
And we'll have 180 days.
But they took 3 in there, just they had enough Michelle game happening that you couldn't quite follow. Do the municipalities tax by themselves, or do they just get 1% of the excise tax that's passed on to the, what is the game? Who knows? We don't find out yet.
Are they supporting everybody's enforcement and education efforts, or only if you're part of the?
Yeah, they're not telling us yet, but you'll find out after they pass it.
And one bill gives the municipality a year, as I explained to you.
Yes.
And another 180 days. So we'll see what comes down.
So we'll be poised to, to respond, November, December. Okay, do we need a resolution for that pile of confusion I just threw on your desk?
Okay, you need to pass the introduction. There was a motion that, there was a motion to introduce. Yes, okay.
Yeah.
You rule on that, and then secondly, you have a proviso you want to send to the planning board regarding this. That would be a separate resolution.
Okay.
Okay?
Very good.
Wait a minute, so that we're straight. You're gonna send this as is to the planning board?
You send this as is with a note, proviso, Counselor, some kind of memorandum stating that the council, it's the sense of the council that these items can be removed. That only marijuana retail sales and stores are prohibited in all zone districts. That should be the ordinance, and these other facilities, what were they called? They were called, there was another term that was
There's a general
that was a
term,
catch-all.
yeah, yes.
Marijuana cultivation facilities, marijuana production or manufacturing facilities, and marijuana testing facilities may be located in certain zones under certain conditions as determined, by the planning board. We want their input on, are there any zones that could?
So you're not taking it out, you're just asking for their input relative to that separately? So that's what I'm confused, because he said in a separate resolution, that's why I need to know.
Well, I think it needs a separate resolution.
Yeah, what it is to pass it as is and send it down, but have this separate resolution with the sense of the council, as the mayor just said.
That's different.
Yeah, then see what their response is.
That's very different, very different. So you're sending it as is.
Send this as is,
Yeah.
and send that with a note, yeah.
And then, Mr. Clement, you'll write the second resolution,
Yes.
so that we're clear. Okay. I feel better about it.
Okay. Now, as the mayor says, depending on their response, then you'll have months to do some real heavy legwork in defining all these other areas, if you get to that. And all the regulations pertinent to that, you and the planning board will hash those out. If that comes to pass.
Comes to pass, yes, it's good the planning boards take on.
Resolution tonight.
Yes, I could announce it. I think I have the sense of what you have in mind.
Do it on the fly. So we do have a motion and a second, and that is for our public hearing to be on November 27th, 2018. That's
I
correct?
had the motion and the second.
You have a motion and second.
Who's the
Who's
second?
the second?
Oh, we don't have a second?
No, I said,
I'll be the second.
Thank you, Kathy. Okay. So we want a roll call on publishing said ordinance and notice of hearing. Our public hearing on the matter to be 7:30 or soon as thereafter, as the matter may be heard on Tuesday, November 27th, 2018.
So you're actually introducing this, not just publishing.
Right?
Introducing.
You're
it'll be public.
introducing
You'll be
this.
introducing and
It'll be
publishing.
public,
Yes. Okay, we have a motion and a second towards that.
You have that.
Yeah, I have
It'll
that.
automatically go to the planning board as an active law.
And the ordinance also provides that. But the mayor's right, as a matter of law.
So you have a motion and a second.
We need a roll call, yes.
Councilmembers Bolton,
Yes.
Davison.
Yes.
Moretti,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci,
Yes.
Councilmember Noonan,
Yes.
O'Keefe,
Yes.
Mayor Spear.
Okay, now the
It'll
resolution.
be number 186.
Correct me if I'm not carrying out your intent. Resolved by the municipal council to the planning board regarding ordinance, what number would this ordinance be? Scott?
2018-13.
Regarding 2018-13, that is the sense of the municipal council that the planning board consider the only prohibition be the directed at marijuana retail sales and stores as a prohibited use in all zone districts of the municipality. Am I correctly stated what you have in mind?
Yes, I think with the addition that we want their input for the other
And-
listed items in
okay.
terms of what
Yes.
areas that would be permissible.
Yeah, I don't think we said just sales. I think the rest of the items was to be looked at.
Yeah, that was my intention, just to get the planning board's input on what zones this would be appropriate in, if any. Kind of, and if any conditions or anything like that, just from a land use point of view. Is that the common agreement, Counselor, or that's incorporated in our ordinance? I'll make that motion on resolution 2018-186. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Bolton. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Bolton?
Yes.
Davison?
I'm going to abstain.
Peretti?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci?
No.
Councilmembers Noonan?
Yes.
O'Keefe?
Yes.
Mayor Spear?
Yes. Okay. That was only about an hour. We'll knock out a bill list and a DOT municipal aid application right about now under resolutions.
Yes, Resolution 2018-171, whereas the Chief Financial Officer has certified that funds are available for the payment of the current bill list in the amount of $344,030.03. Supplemental payments in the amount of $6,742,667.40. And merchant services in the amount of $192.02 to be credited to the following listed accounts for a total of $7,086,889.45. Of which $3,077,777.46 goes to the County of Passaic, $2,217,106 goes to the Greenwood Board of Education, $882,474.25 goes to Lakeland. So essentially, 87.1% of the bill list tonight goes to somebody else, and you guys are retaining 12.9%.
Is there the amounts we pay the county and the amounts we pay the Board of Education, is there a schedule or
Yes.
is these bills or is just?
So these are the tax payments that are required according to Debbie's payment schedule. It'll just, it's broken up based upon the tax and the assessments, and we get.
Yeah, but what's their like cash flow requirements? Do they, they have something on a?
There's an agreement.
There's an agreement,
that payments are made on a certain schedule.
There's a schedule, yeah.
To meet
Every
their
year.
budgetary
Yeah,
requirements.
this is a rather robust number from Passaic County. That's, it kind of catches your attention. I've always loved how we write $7 million in checks a month, and, we run the government on $50 million. It's kind of cool. There should be a little more vig in the game, I would think, but, we're the low guys on the totem pole. That's why they made us the tax collectors. Remember that.
Yeah, there's a schedule that's attached to the bill when it comes.
Okay, so do we have a motion? We get a motion on resolution 2018-171? Mr. Martucci?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. O'Keefe. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Bolton?
Abstain.
Davison?
Yes.
Peretti?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci?
Yes.
Councilmembers Noonan?
Yes.
O'Keefe?
Yes.
Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Resolution 2018-172 is the approval to submit a grant application and execute a grant contract with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for Erskine Road. This is for drainage and improvement project Phase 2. Now therefore be it resolved, the Municipal Council of the Borough of Ringwood formally approves the grant application for the above stated project, and be it further resolved that the mayor and the municipal clerk are authorized to submit the electronic grant application to MA 219 Erskine Road, Lakeview Avenue, 001612, New Jersey DOT, on behalf of the borough. Be it further resolved that the mayor and the municipal clerk acting are hereby authorized to sign the grant agreement on behalf of the borough of Ringwood, and it their signatures constitute acceptance to the terms and conditions of the grant and approve the execution of this contract. Certified as a true copy of the resolution adopted by municipal council this day of 18th September 2000.
Hey, Scott?
Yes.
It covers about a half a mile. What's the total mileage, road mileage?
I don't know off the top of my head. I think that we felt that we could get around Lakeview Avenue quicker than we did than Cumshaw Drive because there's a lot less drainage and it's not as much distance. So I don't know how long it's going to take to get around. But
I just want to know, okay, total mileage is what?
I don't know off the top of my head. I can find that out for you.
Okay, so do we have a motion on Resolution 2018-172? No. Thank you, Mr. Martucci.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Moretti. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Bolton?
Yes.
Davison?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci?
Yes.
Councilmembers Noonan?
Yes.
O'Keefe?
Yes.
Mayor Spear?
Yes. Thank you. Next on our agenda are consent agenda resolutions. This is resolution number 2018-173. Whereas the mayor and council of the Borough of Ringwood has reviewed the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions. Now therefore be it resolved that the following resolutions on the consent agenda are hereby approved. Number 2018-173, approval of consent agenda. Number 2018-174, approval of voided checks. Number 2018-175, approval of payroll and payroll transfers, month of July. 2018-176, approval of payroll and payroll transfers, month of August. 2018-177, refund overpayment third quarter property taxes, block 220, lot 3, cancel third and fourth quarter property taxes, block 220, lot 3. Resolution 2018-178, authorize cancellation of third and fourth quarter property taxes, block 710, lot 30. Resolution 2018-179, authorize redemption tax sales certificate. And Resolution 2018-180, refund park and ride. Can we have a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Mr. Noonan?
Second.
Mr. Martucci, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Bolton?
Yes.
Davison?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci?
Yes.
Councilmembers Noonan?
Yes.
O'Keefe?
Yes.
Mayor Spear?
Yes. Thank you all. Next on our agenda, manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I think probably the first thing that's on my mind is relative to water. And a well search was conducted by Ford Motor Company for the wells outside of the 1 mile radius of the Superfund site. In August, they identified several wells that are outside of the area. It's something that's a requirement of the EPA. They identified several wells in the state park and 1 well at Hewitt School. Quite frankly, since Hewitt School has a water line from the Borough of Ringwood connected to it, I wasn't aware that there was a well servicing the school itself. They do their own testing, they do their own water operating system, so we don't have anything to do with that. So when I became aware of this well, which is maintained by the Board of Education, I insisted that the EPA and the DEP and Ford that the well needed to be tested prior to school. Not that we thought that there was anything wrong, but listen, kids are going back to school. We know there's a well in there. If we have to do the testing anyway, let's step it up. Unfortunately, Ford and the EPA could not get that done prior to school opening because they have purchasing agreements and whatever the case may be. So it was clear to me that if I wanted the testing done before school was open, Ringwood had to do it. I took the initiative and got the approval of the superintendent of school and the state park, both of which were extremely cooperative and helpful. And we got those wells tested for all the compounds found at the Superfund site, which includes 1,4-dioxane. We didn't expect any of these wells to be impacted, as there are monitoring wells in between the Superfund site and these particular wells, but since they were newly discovered wells or the state hadn't necessarily identified the wells, and it's kind of ironic because they're state wells, most of them, I was kind of shocked at that. We thought we should get it. We thought we should get it tested anyway. So, out of abundance of caution, I went ahead and I had them tested. And as anticipated, I'm happy to report that there are no exceedances of any constituents above the safe water drinking standard for any of the wells, and non-detect for 1,4-dioxane in all of those wells. those few locations. I hand-delivered the letters and the reports to the superintendent of school and to the superintendent of state park, and I'm happy to report that. And I thought it was really important that we found out something mid-August, and the Borough of Ringwood reacted within 2 weeks to not only getting our contractor, which you guys have approved long ago. We've done this once before for our own wells, and we've used that. But within 2 weeks, because of the kids, we reacted and we made sure that those wells, and as well as the residents of, or whoever drinks the water in the state parks. And I think that says something about the commitment that the Borough of Ringwood has to the residents as well as its council. The cost for the testing is $24,321.34. I have a resolution before you this evening, and I am going to, in turn, bill Ford and the insurance company for these costs, because though I felt it was our moral obligation, it is not our financial obligation. So, I'm going to do all the resolutions later. I'm going to go through my report, and then I'm going to go through the 5 resolutions that are in place when we are completed. Questions on the water?
Well, I mean, question, but also first a thank you for doing it and for moving so quickly when we technically didn't have to, but morally needed to. One of the things that I was shocked to learn in the context of the CAG meeting and yourself is that the state doesn't ordinarily test their own water supply according to the same schedule that, let's say, we would or a municipality would have to. And especially, I mean, for everybody, right? Our own residents go into the parks and use the drinking fountains. People come from all over the place to do that. Among the resolutions, and tonight, I don't know if it would be directed at the superintendent, the governor. I don't know the right body to direct it towards, but I would like to consider a resolution asking that at least at the start of the season, they test for the same profile that they ask municipalities to do on a more regular basis. I would think season opening would be the least that we could ask of parks.
Councilman, you're absolutely right. It would be DEP, ironically. And our Stone Down ball field, they required us to make the ball field into its own water system, even though it's seasonal because of the amount of use. I would venture to say the use at the state parks, for those that are not on our municipal water, because again, some of the state parks are on our municipal water, so that's why I was so surprised to find out that they had wells that are not connected to our water system, so there's no cross connection. But for the wells that are there, they should follow the same standards that every drinking water does. They just made us make Stone Down ball field a community water system in and of itself based upon their own requirements. So they should follow their own requirements, but they don't.
I take a firm position on not poking those people. Okay. I don't poke those people. I'm going to scold them. You guys wrote the law, choose to ignore it, and I'm supposed to be correcting you. You know what? We still got a lot of business to clear with. I understand I understand where you're coming from. They'll sort their own mess out. We stick to our knitting. Always my approach.
So later there's going to be a resolution to actually pay for these bills. There will be some more costs come in. We had some legal costs, some minor costs, but that's stuff. And this, because we have a contract with Excel Environmental anyway, this was within my authority. But as you'll notice, anytime that there's significant dollar amounts, even though it's within my authority, I feel strongly that there should be a resolution from the council, so that they know there's some transparency and there's tracking. So that's why I do that often.
I think this really was a matter that the EPA would need to get an access agreement from the Board of Education, which would require the next Board of Education meeting to get them set up, and they might take 2 just because they want to read the access agreement, a couple of changes here and there. Next thing you know, they're pulling their first test of water out of Hewitt sometime in November. Not a good look, Whereas the borough was talking to the school authorities every week, and get permission to go in and get the water and have it tested and back before school starts.
Superintendent Bernice and I have a very good working relationship, and it's a testament to him that he recognized the need. And also I had them try to do testing that the Board of Education was due to do shortly, that hopefully they won't have to replicate. They can use this test and they can save the money, because we tested for extra compounds to try and help them with their next round to save some funding. So no, Dr. Bernice was on board for more to come. That's great. My next topic is Jenkins Park. I know that during the budget process this year, I requested that we replace all the playgrounds, because I do think they all need to be replaced. And, you know, because of finances, the decision was that we should wait, and that was based upon financial decisions. Unfortunately, Jenkins Park had some damage due to the storm this winter, and it doesn't make sense to replace the items. We took the items off, we blocked it off with plywood, we did what we had to do to make it safe, but it doesn't make sense to spend any money on a playground that's outlived its useful life. Therefore, I recommend that we replace this playground, and I've encumbered money in the Parks and Playgrounds existing budget that I am anticipating, and I'm also anticipating some insurance reimbursement for. So I have a resolution to this evening for you also for the state contract number for that playground, understanding that some money will come back either from the insurance company or from FEMA, I'm not sure which, but it just doesn't make sense to spend $8,000 or $10,000 on a temporary fix when we know $50,000 is going to replace the entire park. We have the money in the budget, so I am going to offer that resolution a little later. In addition, we need a special meeting with the EPA. I'm requesting a special meeting for the council for an executive session to consider and approve the settlement terms contained in the consent decree and the statement of work for the implementation of the remedies for the operable 2 unit pursuant to the record of decision and the explanation of significant differences. I'd like that on the 27th. The reason they couldn't answer your question, and I didn't realize it when you asked it, the consent decree is with the Department of Justice. It's not with the EPA. It's based upon the EPA, but the Department of Justice is actually who handles that. I have emails that I'll share with you guys for the next meeting, but they would like this, I have emails from the DOJ that they would like this concluded before September 30th. They really wanted us to do it on the 25th. We weren't available. 27th is the first date I can get you folks here. So in my resolutions later, I'll be requesting a special meeting for the 27th.
Were they able to provide documents?
We don't have the documents yet. I have all kinds of.
I mean, I had to ask.
I have all kinds of conditions that I want, that I said, I'll set the meeting, but if in fact we don't have X, Y, and Z by next Thursday, or this Thursday, so that I can distribute it, we're canceling the meeting, so. But these are the documents that Wanda reported on to you in March, and they're slow to make revisions, so.
Would we need to keep it just for the tolling agreement?
No, it would be both. It would also be for a tolling agreement, because what's going to happen is if in fact you, Mr. Klimek, you can correct me if I'm wrong, if you enter into a consent decree, they're going to file an action against us, and that takes a day or a week, or the state 2 weeks to do, and then they're going to file a settlement at the same time. So that takes some time, and they want to extend the time by which they could sue us if in fact that process takes longer than they thought. So those 2 things will be a topic for discussion at the special meeting, and that will be the only things on the agenda. Okay. It says in addition, we need a tolling agreement. I didn't turn a page yet. In addition, I need a tolling agreement between the Borough of Ringwood and the federal government through October 26th, 2018. Having spoken with the attorney and the Finance Committee, I'm also looking for a resolution to authorize Mr. Santagata to prepare contracts for council consideration for the following. Most of these I could do myself, but since I am one of those people, I said let's put it on a list and let you guys authorize them. Chief, Captain, Lieutenant, Engineer, CFO, and myself. And these are for updating contracts. Also, Passaic County Open Space. This is a little bit of a frustrating one, and it's a little more lengthy. We worked with Passaic County Open Space for quite a few years to achieve a turf field at Hewitt School. Unfortunately, it became apparently clear that the DEP was not going to approve a turf field because of environmental constraints, even though we use it every day now. I'm not sure I understand, but whatever. In light of that, we requested the Passaic County transfer the previous grant monies totaling $457,500 to the Stonetown ball field. They required, when we filed the grant, that we had to rescind the grant, and they would consider reallocating the money. However, they didn't do that, and I'm not sure why. We went down there and presented our case. Instead, for 2018, they gave us a grant for $99,000, and they returned the $457,500 that they committed to us in 14, 15, and 16 to the Open Space Fund. Bothers me is, we provide a lot of water to Passaic County, and it's not Ringwood's fault that the DEP has these onerous restrictions, make it difficult to improve our facilities. The kids deserve a turf field, and I think this is a shame. I would have thought that the Passaic County Open Space would have had better understanding for the unique circumstances that we face. Unfortunately, that's what their decision was. Now, we got the contract from them, although it was mailed to the mayor's house instead of Borough Hall. I'm not sure why they did that. So this evening, I'm going to have a resolution authorizing signature of that document. So that's also going to be before us. We talked about a vehicle for DBW to replace the large truck at Stonetown 828 that is in significant need of replacement. Unfortunately, there are no cab and chassis available. They've been sold out since May, believe it or not. We did find one that's being built with one of the companies that we've used before. It's also on the Educational Services Co-op in New Jersey, and I'd like a resolution acquiring that vehicle. The final price is not set yet, but it's close. It's approximately $96,000. I think it's actually in the resolution now. My words were written earlier than that. In addition to that, $87,540 is for the body. The plow and the salt total approximately $184,000 as proposed. Not all of that money will come out of the bond ordinance. As you know, we have some money in our capital program to replace the salt items and that kind of stuff. So I'll be asking for that resolution later. I think that's it for resolutions. I have to congratulate Jackie. She's done a great job of managing the Facebook for the Green Team, and Helen has pulled together a lot of information to submit the certification to Sustainable New Jersey. And Joanne Atlas uploaded a lot of the information and for certification for review. So I guess we're in that process.
I agree. They did a great job, and they submitted 190 points in total. It only takes 150 points to be certified. We'll get feedback from Sustainable Jersey in October, about the second week.
Yep.
Then we can make revisions for November, but next year, Ringwood might be certified as a bronze, which is a very great thing that these women accomplished, so kudos to all of them.
I'm kind of happy as manager. I'm proud of the fact that all of these things that we do anyway, we did as good stewards of the environment, as good stewards of our community. Well, we didn't change one policy to achieve all these. These are
a lot of them we're already doing.
Yeah, all these policies we did already, and that's just being good stewards of the community. Our application we checked is still under review for the energy audit. I want to change these lights because I'm having a hard time reading under this light.
Yeah.
So that's.
Is there any ETA on when that will be coming back?
No.
And I know the schools are in the process of doing that also, right?
I think they are. I'm not sure where they are in the process. I haven't talked to them recently, but it takes a while, they said. They're receiving a lot of grants at the same time.
I see.
So, FEMA. I'm in the process with my assistant Helen. Helen is awesome at this. We work hard at filing for FEMA funds for the March storm. Although the 30 inches of snow are not eligible in Passaic County, but I think they are in Bergen County, which doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, there were a lot of other things that were damaged during that storm. There was a lot of tree damage. There was a lot of grinding and milling of the trees, and so I'm putting in a grant for all of the FEMA expenses. And filing any type of cost with FEMA is extremely tedious and takes a tremendous amount of time and effort and paperwork, as you can imagine. We're required to have meetings every week, and we do that with our FEMA coordinator. So we hope to have some grants put in for that through the FEMA, and I'll be able to report on that at the next meeting. Skyline Lakes Drive and Greenwood Lake Turnpike. The striping in the intersection of Skyline Lakes Drive and Greenwood Lake Turnpike was completed. It was in bad shape. While the county road was there, it was our residents that were having a hard time finding the intersection because it was just so vast with no lights, with no striping. So we did it. I did send a letter to Passaic County and requested the borough reimburse the borough for their portion. So we'll see what comes of that. We talked about it a little earlier. Last year, we received $355,000 for Phase 1 of the Erskine Road Lakeview Avenue project. We're applying for $457,000 this year. Through negotiation, we received over $75,000 from Rockland Electric for repaving of Olive, Teak, and Eunice Court. They were going to pave half of the road, and we negotiated with them and said we could do it much cheaper than they could do it. So we negotiated enough money that we can pave the entire road so that we don't have these roads like some of the other counties and some of the other towns in Bergen County where the county comes in and only paves half, and you have half a new road and half an old road. That's a testament to Jeff. We worked hard on that. He deserves credit for negotiating. He did that everywhere they're digging up for the new line, so that's good. The tennis courts have been cleaned and the cracks have been repaired, which is a much needed improvement. We will be replacing the guardrail for 9 locations on the Borough of Ringwood Road. We're really hoping the county does the replacement of all their guardrails. Whenever there's an accident, we send them down the accident report so that they can bill the car accident, the car insurance. We do the same thing, so hopefully they'll take care of that, and hopefully they will be able to repair Greenwood Lake Turnpike pavement soon, because that's getting worse and worse as time is marching on. The last thing that I have this evening before we go into the resolutions is an actual snapshot of the budget as of the 17th of this month. Essentially, the budget, we've used about 65.7% of the budget. If we use payroll as a guide, taking out some of the encumbered funds and prorating them, we should be about 65 or 66%. So we're doing well on the borough end. The water operating end, we're not doing as well. We've used about 83% of the budget, so we are certainly over in the water department. And I'm going to be calling for a meeting with the finance committee to talk about options and how we might be able, because everything, if you don't make your budget, and let's be honest, we haven't sold much water this year because it's rained every weekend all summer long. And that plus we went into the year with a little bit of a deficit, and you have to raise the deficit, plus you can only budget for the amount raised based upon the revenue of the previous year. So we're in for a little bit of a rough time in the water department. But having said that, I'm going to call for a finance committee meeting. So if there are no questions on those things, I'm sorry, I can go to the resolutions.
Was there a resolution on the contracts?
It's just a resolution authorizing the attorney to draft them for your consideration.
Nothing written or included in them.
No, it's just
stuff.
And the people that was...
it's listed in here again, yeah, it's in the actual resolution. The only reason that I'm actually having you do it is because I'm one of them. Usually I have them do it anyway, but because I was one of them, I said just throw it out there. But it's in the resolution, so I'll read the whole resolution. It is...
No. Okay.
Oh.
I feel less crazy or less.
That's all.
I was like...
Because now I'm going to just start stealing stuff out of your pile. Not telling you.
Only if you want more questions. If I could see the list, I would have...
Okay, you know what? I don't have the resolution either. Okay.
All right.
So I'll go over the list again.
Yeah, I caught it was manager, chief, captain, lieutenant, engineer, and CFO. But I think I might have missed one. I thought there was 7.
Chief, captain, lieutenant, engineer, CFO, manager. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And that's really like manager / DPW director. There'll be 2 contracts on.
I don't.
Okay, you'll be all right. We'll take you out of that.
He can handle that. Most of them are old contracts that need updating. They're all out of date. I think they're all out of date. I don't think we have any of them have contracts anymore. Yeah, so you're right. I don't have one either. So I can't. So
makes me feel better. But you were very good with the list of who's included.
Okay.
And then in terms of the funding towards the ball field project, given the gap, I'll call it, between expectation and result, what does that bode in terms of the way forward?
Well, the other thing that bothers me a little bit, as long as you brought it up, we're committing, I looked at all the other municipal matches for all the Passaic County grants, and most of the communities have no match. because we were trying to keep in the 457,000, and over the years, we committed and have funded $900,000. We committed and funded $900,000 here too. The difference is, they're no longer invested in it for 450,000 and 7,000. They're invested in it for 99. So the commitment is, right now you have $900,000 in funding for the turf field from borough funds. So the delta between the two is, I don't know what it is exactly until we actually do the design, but I'm thinking that you're probably 500,000 short.
The borough sits down 140,000. A couple of years ago, it was $170,000, $180,000 a year, down to the Passaic County Open Space Fund. And, yeah, don't expect to get it back, one for one. But a little something every now and again,
You're short exactly what Passaic County took from you. Right?
Oddly enough.
And I bring it up because, as I recall, when we put the application in, even if all prior years rolled over, and I know that's not the technical term, but if we were funded at the level of prior years and what we had set aside, there was still a substantial amount between the money that we would have and what would be needed to make the project a reality.
I have the spreadsheet here if you want me to go over it. In 2014, we put aside 300,000. In 2015, we put aside 500,000. In 2000, hold on a second. Oh, some came from open space, some funds, some came from the borough funds. So 14, 15, and 16 between borough funds and open space funds. So the open space funds aren't eligible for, for just use, is $900,000, which is the borough commitment. In 2014, we were awarded $283,500 from Passaic County Open Space. In 2015, we were awarded $99,000. In 2017, we were awarded $75,000. Because we were having the troubles in 2017 with DEP, I talked to the open space, and I said, Kathleen Karen, and I said, listen, I don't want to apply when we don't know exactly what we're going to do. We'll hold off a year. We applied in 18. They asked us to send a letter rescinding the other grants. And you guys did a resolution doing that, saying, hey, listen, we'll do that, but we really want you to apply it. So we're short the money that they took.
Can we appeal it?
No. Well, I don't know. Dick, you might be able to answer that.
No, it's totally discretionary on behalf of the Passaic County Open Space. They have absolute discretion how to allocate it among the municipalities. They have their criteria. I don't know what it is.
I think they actually have categories called freehold or discretionary, where there's no rules.
But they have already allocated it to us.
They gave out $933,000 and they took back $457 from us, so they really only funded half of their allocation this year from their own funds. The rest came from us. And I don't like to openly talk this way, but it's frustrating because our residents pay into this every year, and quite frankly, I think our kids deserve a turf field to play on like every other. There's more turf at Passaic County.
Passaic County Tech?
Than
Passaic County Tech.
There's probably 3 times more than what we're talking about
We
here.
shouldn't talk about that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We shouldn't talk about that.
I'm sorry.
It's perverse what's going on there.
So anyway, I'm sorry. So I think I answered your question, but I'm not sure.
To an extent, I think my, aside from the concern already aired, I think it's the bill that's yet to come, right? Because even if we had the perfect state and we got all the money that we were expecting, and maybe some more with this year's application, there was still going to be like 6 or 7 figure delta between all of the funding that we had and what would be needed to do the project at Stone Town, right? Like we were going to be in it for another $1 million.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I think
$1.5 million together, $1.6 million is what we had.
Something that we were, because remember the turf itself we know is approximately $800,000. The lights itself is approximately $350,000. What else you do, whether you do a walking track, whether you don't do a walking track, whether like the infrastructure at
needs bleachers,
bleachers,
like
yeah.
that.
But the infrastructure in Stone Town is there, whereas Hewitt Field it wasn't. Remember, Hewitt Field, you're putting a new septic system in for Hewitt because the septic is underneath the when we were redoing the back parking lot, and we were taking some asphalt out, there were a lot more expenditures.
Adding a concession stand also, right?
Concession stands, we already have
So
that.
we already have that, yeah.
We already have the infrastructure built, so it was much cheaper in Stonetown than it is at Hewitt School. So I think you probably would be close with funding had we received $100,000 this year, plus the already committed funds. So. But I need to know whether I'm gonna sign this and commit us to it, or not. That's kind of what I need to know.
Is there anybody that can bid the freehold this year?
We have residents on that board,
And
but
I
I
know
think.
appealing's not a process. If it's something that they can revisit, I don't know
Yes.
what their options
You
are.
could
I'm
have,
happy
you could
to-
re-petition, as the manager said, we have residents that are on that committee.
Okay, well, in any event, yeah, if you can get back the money, that's awesome. But we'll accept the 99,000 in the meantime, right?
Does the 99,000 have to be committed to the ball field?
Yes.
Yeah, that was what the application was for.
And the 99,000 goes towards the original plan, and all, we'd have to follow through with everything. It's not like we could say, oh, we're just gonna do lighting now, we only got 99.
I don't know that that's true, because we only submitted a concept plan to them. We didn't submit a final plan to them. But it's
It's
got to be
location.
dedicated to that plan.
The location, I could
Yeah.
bite that bullet, but we're not gonna go putting up 900 grand to build this. Yeah, maybe somehow do a portion of it. I don't know how,
Well, we already have the 900,000. 900,000
okay.
is set aside for that.
but we'd have to put an extra significant portion to get this
Yeah,
done.
some-
Yeah,
And we're already behind.
exactly, that's it. Stonetown Field just got further away,
Right.
you know, for some unforeseen reason. And, you know, and yeah, some kind of response would be good. You know, we should try to find out exactly, you know, exactly how come Ringwood didn't get trued up here and get back to where we were. You know, we were there at the beginning of this year. We did have almost $500,000 of Passaic County open space money targeted towards an artificial turf field for our kids. And that changed sometime between now and the beginning of the year.
And I guess that's where my, aside from the need to pursue funding, hesitation and confusion comes in terms of what it means to take this money. Does that mean we're fully committed, or proceeding, and we're spending the 900,000 plus whatever else is needed in order to bring it to life? Or is
No,
it
we
just-
didn't, it's the same thing as we did in 14,
Yeah.
15, and 16. You're accepting the money, you're signing on to it, and then we're gonna continue to build funding, and we're gonna,
So
like,
we
we're
can
not ready to
apply
go.
again and-
Yeah, right.
With,
Yeah, we're-
hopefully a lower probability of losing because the site doesn't change.
We will lose it if I don't sign it.
Right, but that meaning, sorry, like year after year until the funding is built, it's less likely to go away because the site's.
Well, they do want to get the project done. Like, one of their philosophies is their goal is to use the money and not to carry it over and over and over. Unfortunately, because of our circumstances, that's not simple. Like, I called down there and they said, well, why didn't you get all the permits? I said, well, unfortunately, the DEP didn't tell us what we needed, but they wouldn't give us a permit. Like, they just kept us in limbo, and I can't do anything about that. There's nothing that I can do. So 2 years from now, you could be in the same situation you are now, where they say, you know what, we're going to rescind our grant. And if they rescind the grant, they rescind the grant. It doesn't do anything in terms of committing us to anything other than we're going to hold the $900,000 in the account like we were doing before for this purpose, while as the match to whatever they put in.
Wow. Does it require any soon or immediate expenditure of funds in terms of like drawing up more specific plans? Like,
Well, I would
does this-
probably, out of the fund, what you do, you use that actual fund to draw the actual plans. And what I would suggest you to all of you is that we do that and we get a plan together, because A, the residents are asking for it. Even the residents in and out of the area, what exactly are you gonna do? I didn't wanna spend the money until we were further along. So that money comes out of that 900,000 and the 100,000, that comes out of the grant money. That's what some of that stuff is.
we can spend the bare minimum prior to public input, that would be great. And I know that's kind of the way to go, but I don't want to
You need
spend.
something to talk about, though. You need something that's, you know, that's tangible, and a little bit of design effort to put to it. Okay, you didn't have that on your resolution list, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah?
Yeah,
How about
you
that?
Found it.
No, for authorizing you
Yeah, it's in here.
to try to get
Oh.
costs for design.
No, I didn't do that.
Right, do we do an RFQ or, you know, an RFP for design services for this thing? Do we try to get, you know, is that where we're going next?
I mean,
It wasn't on my takeover list at the moment.
That wasn't
Yeah.
on my list for this evening, but
Right.
I certainly, I mean, if you want to
We're
get.
gonna have to get there at some point.
Listen, otherwise we're gonna be in the same boat we're in right now.
And I just want to spend as little money as possible until we get to that full steam ahead point. Like, I don't want to spend $50,000 on plans only to then wind up in a similar situation at a different location, whether that's based on DEP, resident input, whatever the case may be. I would like to spend as little money as it takes to get there, to have the feedback and have the input, so that we can then go full steam ahead. if
Well,
that
why
makes
don't I
sense.
go out for RFPs for quotes and then you guys can consider, you know, that's an option.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you have to award a contract, it just means that you're getting pricing. But I did not put that into my resolution, Mayor, I was just mainly talking about this document.
Okay, Counselor, we can wing a
Yes,
resolution.
Hockey Kill, would you want these?
Just authorization to go to RFP for Stonetown Wallfield as described in so many meetings, whatever, you know, for turf.
Well, you can just give you can pass it as the mayor, so you can pass a resolution authorizing the manager to prepare an RFP to publish same, and then they'll come back to you for final decision. You can do that right now, if you like.
Well, how about we go through these resolutions first, so that Nicole
Do
does,
the edit.
and then we can do the one last. So,
Okay.
you ready? All right, in the order in which I talked about them before, Resolution 218-181, be it resolved, the municipal council of the Borough of Ringwood does hereby authorize payment in the amount of $24,321.34 to XL Environmental Resources, New Brunswick, New Jersey, for professional environmental counseling and engineering services performed through September 5th, 2018 to conduct potable groundwater well sampling at E.G. Hewitt School and Ringwood State Park. Purchase order 1801-389.
Second.
Mr. Burdy, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Bolton?
Yes.
Davison?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci?
Yes.
Councilmember Noonan?
Yes.
O'Keefe?
Yes.
Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Resolution 182, excuse me. Whereas Jenkins Park was damaged due to winter storms and repairs are not recommended due to the extent of damage. Be resolved, the mayor and council authorizes myself to replace Jenkins Park through the co-op that I emailed you. I emailed you another copy in color so that you can see it better, and it's for $48,087.86.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Noonan, Mr. Keefe, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Bolton?
Yes.
Davison?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci?
Yes.
Councilmembers Noonan?
Yes.
O'Keefe?
Yes.
Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Resolution 2018-183, whereas a
Scott,
special...
excuse me, I'm sorry, this 183, there's two parts to it.
Okay.
Okay, one is a special meeting for the consent decree, and the other is to extend the tolling agreement.
Well, this is just to have a meeting for that.
For the,
We're not doing that this evening, this is just to set the meeting.
but the meeting, but the subject of the meeting is the
Correct.
consent decree, yes?
Yep.
Okay, so.
1 and 2.
All right, so, well, but you also want to extend the tolling agreement.
Yep, that would be the second part.
That'll be the second subject of the meeting.
That's right, I understand that. So let's put it this way. So this, the first whereas stays in there. The second whereas, and as you have it, be it resolved, that you set the special meeting at the violating, the usual language, okay?
Okay.
To discuss, and take formal action. Will be
Yes.
taken to discuss and take formal action on the aforementioned matter. And the acting borough clerk is hereby authorized and directed to provide notice of the meeting to at least 2 newspapers, make post in the municipal municipal building and otherwise comply with the Open Public Meetings Act. Okay.
Okay. So we have a motion on that resolution number 183 as amended and expanded by Counselor? Thank you, Mr. Bolton.
That's it.
I heard Mr. Martucci. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Bolton?
Yes.
Davison?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci?
Yes.
Councilmembers Noonan?
Yes.
O'Keefe?
Yes.
Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Resolution 2018-184 is be resolved, the mayor and council hereby authorize the Scott Heck Borough Manager to sign the grant agreement with Passaic County Open Space for funding for the Stonetown Ball Field.
Did we do 185? Or I thought we were going to leave that to last, the open space? Okay, we're ready to.
It's 184.
Okay.
So moved.
Is this the one that we're amending to
Yeah,
include the RFP?
that's what I.
No,
No.
no.
It's
We
separate.
don't-
It's
Oh.
yeah,
separate,
no.
okay.
Separate, yeah, entirely. This is just authorized acceptance of the $99,000 2018 Passaic County Open Space Grant Award.
What happened? Somebody
Okay.
moved that?
I moved it.
I got lost. Mr. Noonan, motion. Was there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Ferretti. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Bolton?
Yes.
Davison?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci?
Yes.
Councilmembers Noonan?
Yes.
O'Keefe?
Yes.
Mayor Spear?
Yes. Okay. Now 2018-185.
185 should be at your place. Whereas the Borough of Ringwood is in need of one new dump truck, and Campbell Freightliner LLC is currently building one that is available to the Borough of Ringwood as soon as it's completed. Be resolved, the mayor and council hereby authorizes Scott Heck to purchase the new truck from Educational Services Cooperative New Jersey, which we're a member of, in the amount of $96,843.18 from Campbell Freight LLC. That's the authorization you're doing tonight. Keep in mind that we will be adding those other items to this, as we talked about before. So this will be approximately a $180,000 truck, funded between capital cash as well as the bond ordinance.
This is just cab and chassis?
This is cabin chassis. This is just no dump body, no spreader, no salt, no.
I just want to be clear, this is a piece of $180,000 piece of equipment to spread salt that we will not be able to wash because of the Highlands Act, is that true?
Well, we are allowed to rinse the trucks after storms.
Oh, yeah?
Rinse.
Rinse. Okay.
But you're kind of correct, yes. Which is why our trucks look the way they do, because we can't physically wash them regularly.
I like the Highlands Act, but this is pretty ridiculous. I mean, I'm an environmentalist, but I just feel like, there's got to be a little give. It's just more and more tax money. Here you go, another $200,000 truck. Oh, because they rot out fast.
Right.
Is that highlights or just stormwater overall?
It's both.
Yeah, it's a good question. Because the Highland did sneaky things. Stormwater got their regulations out there, and they're as advanced as anybody in the country outside of like Maryland. But the Highlands did stuff like call all waters in the Highlands a Category 1 water, which is the highest protection level you could throw at it. Which is really, you don't do that to, 40% of your state's land mass. It can't be that way. If the most precious water sources mean something, they should mean something specific, and not just something. There's a whole bunch of little things that these things work in tandem, and we never got to see the stormwater management rules actually operate in this town because the Highlands came within 6 months afterwards. Stormwater management rules had stuff like special water resource protection areas that were 300-foot buffers and stuff like that. And they had all kinds of pretty cool stuff that could have been interesting that we didn't even get to see operate because we got those emergency regulations thrown down our throat. They just happened to have 400 pages of emergency regulations just ready to crack open a can and say, "Oh, you got a law here? Here you go. Here's some regulations." Bam. So that's how that whole thing works.
Is there any special coding?
We do treatments for the trucks several times during the winter season. Very expensive. Very expensive. It's, so we do all that. But at the end of the day, when you're spreading salt, you need to wash and wash and wash and wash, and that's just the way it is. You saw how the iron was just peeling off of that particular truck.
But Mr. Ferretti, to your point, it shows the problems with non-local control with certain parts of the islands. A broad-based thing passed down to Trenton, that's it.
It's okay to have.
And it's
islands,
passed by
but-
the legislature, so there's no change in it.
Islands mean we have Highlands regulations that we control, they control our community for water. But we take it pretty seriously. Our stormwater management plan is outstanding, and we do a great job of it. But if you're trying to protect the water, you should also try to and conserve the water and save the water. You should also stop the buildings south of us from building and building and building and building, requiring more and more and more and more resources and more water. The more water they need, where does it come from? It comes from us. It doesn't, so it puts the burden on us. Like, if you want to be fair and balanced, say, hey, South Jersey, wherever you are, maybe stop building so much, so you don't need the water, because water is an important commodity, but it's extremely inequitable. Well,
Take a look at Essex and Hudson County, where a good part of that water goes.
Where are we?
Yes, we're still trying to buy a truck, Jim.
Yes,
Let's do it.
We're
And a
gonna
more
do that.
technical question, does this part drive?
This is the driving part.
This is the chassis part.
I just wasn't sure how naked the chassis was, if
This
this was
is
actually
just
something
the
that would
cab,
go.
this is the cab and the rails in the back, which we're going to put a dump truck body on for $57,000. And then in the dump truck body, we're gonna slide a spreader and a plow to the front for a combination of $30,000 for the two of those. So,
And 96,000 is actually
good
not a
price.
bad price, to tell you the truth.
Which is a scary
I have
part.
one that the chassis was over 250 just for the chassis.
What are you doing in the winter?
It's got
No, he's not gonna beat up his vehicles like that.
Nope.
Do we have a motion for Resolution 185? We're just at this Chuck from Campbell. Was that you, sir?
Brian said.
Huh?
I'll move it.
Okay, Mr. Bolton, second.
I'll second.
Mr. Martucci. No further discussion on this, I hear. Thank you all. Roll call, please.
Council members Bolton?
Yes.
Davison?
Yes.
Ferretti?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci?
Yes.
Council members Noonan?
Yes.
O'Keefe?
Yes.
Mayor Spear?
Yes.
you had two more resolutions, Mayor, you wanted. One was for.
Yes, one was for contracts.
Design, oh, okay.
We have contracts. We want to authorize the Borough's Labor Council, Mr. Justin Santagata of Calvin Sombrero, is he?
Yep.
To prepare contracts for the following employees: Borough Manager / DPW Director, Chief of Police, Captain of Police, Lieutenant of Police, Engineer, and Chief Financial Officer. We'll be doing so under the direction of the Finance Committee. Would that be appropriate? Professionals? Okay. All right, very good. So that would be resolution number 2018-187.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Noonan.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Ferretti. Any discussion? Could I have a roll call, please, on resolution 2018-187?
Council members Bolton?
Yes.
Davison?
Yes.
Ferretti?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci?
Yes.
Council members Noonan?
Yes.
O'Keefe?
Yes.
Mayor Spear?
Yes, thank you all. Next would be proposed resolution 2018-188, requesting the manager put out an RFP and get quotes for the design of improvements to Stonetown Ball Field to add a artificial turf field. We can set up the RFP so that there'll be, the first thing we're gonna need is a survey, gonna bang you 10 grand, 7,500 to 1,250, something like that. Right, before they can actually draw anything, they need the base mapping. And then you wanna get concept plans, right?
We have all the base mapping because Jeff laid out the last plan,
How old is it?
when it was built.
We're tight, we're 360 feet tree to tree. We gotta be tight. It's gonna be, we're gonna be right there.
He has a
From
lot of
actually,
information.
From the hill, right, when you walk up the stairs and you're looking at the snack stand, you turn left, right? From that edge of the bank to the far woods on the other side of the field is 360 on the schnapps, because that's what it looks like, which means that there's no run-out distance behind a standard goalpost, so we're gonna have to try to finesse, is what's gonna happen. So I think we do have to, we can put the survey in and we can choose to take it out, We could do part of the scope would be a concept plan that you take a look at, and it doesn't really get into full detailed design. You know, and then, so we'd only authorize part one, part two, or just part two of the request for proposal. I think that's how we can set that up.
We can do it with all kinds of options in the
And I think we did that similar over at
Hewitt School.
Yes, I think we did the same type of thing.
And if we can ask that the concept be based off, of the survey that Jeff already has, to minimize the cost to even like move forward with like the.
Right,
concept,
exactly.
that'd be
Yeah, we'll
great.
send them the
Exactly.
GIS file.
If the price gets wacky, yeah, we can avoid that whole section, just authorize one particular task at a time. You know, see where we like that, and then take it to the next stage of development, of design development. Okay, in that case, I would like a motion for resolution 2018-188, requesting the manager send out an RFP for design services for Stonetown Field. Is that motion out there?
I'll move it.
Was that Mr. Martucci? Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Bolton? Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Bolton,
Yes.
Awesome.
Davison,
Yes.
Peretti,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci,
Yes.
Councilmembers Noonan.
Yes.
O'Keefe,
Abstain.
Mayor Spear.
Yes. Okay, that will, I think that will cover us. Mr. Manager, what do you think?
That's all I have for this evening. I have no executive session.
Okay, very good. And Counselor?
I have no executive session.
No kidding, and no report in general. It's just fantastic. Very good. Next on our agenda is general public comment. This is the second public portion of this evening's festivities. Anybody wishing to address the mayor and council, please come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. I know you'll keep your comments short, because that's the kind of fellas you are.
Good evening. Rich Ebersbach, 120 Upper Lakeview Ave. First of all, I think everybody's doing a great job. I really applaud you for being up here. And I think we've been, I'm not too familiar with the budget, but over the years, it seems like the town's been doing a pretty good job. My concern is, I don't know if it was 2 or 3 months ago, we passed a resolution, I think it was about $60,000 to pick up leaves, extra leaves. And I don't remember who voted or didn't vote for it, but I know it passed. And we're trying to close a $500,000 gap this year, approximately, for the upcoming budget. Do I have that number right, or am I way off?
Well, I'm sorry, I really don't want to start it back and forth, but what we do know is that there is the North Jersey District Water Supply Commission has further taxable value coming off the rolls. And then there is that hike in the garbage fees that's going to be a budget, a budget consideration next year. We're going to look to find some money. And we know that the school budgets are going to be similarly impacted by the loss of state aid. That's what we know right now. We expect.
So basically, we're looking at either raising taxes or cutting services, or a combination of both.
With certainty, yes.
And I know we're the last 2 months or 3 months we've been discussing the selling the marijuana or whatever in the town here, and that's all well and good. But I just I see this budget as maybe something that we ought to be focusing on, or at least have a little more perspective on the time that we spend on certain issues. Other than that, that's about it. So, thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Martucci. Thank you, Mrs. O'Keefe. Roll call on closing public.
Councilmembers Bolton,
Yes.
Davison.
Yes.
Peretti.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci,
Yes.
Councilmembers Noonan.
Yes.
O'Keefe,
Yes.
Mayor Spear.
Yes. Next. Mayor and members of the council. See, we have 2 items up here. I guess we'll just go around the table, and when they're your items, just chime in. Councilman Bolton.
Okay. So, happy to go first because I can at least partially speak to the topic of the leaf collection issue. As I recall, and again, the numbers without it in front of me might be off a little bit. I want to say that it was a total in a 3-year contract of $20,000 per year, more or less, for the leaf portion. Maybe it was $20,000 total, but 20 is in my brain, as is $7, because when we worked out what the curbside leaf collection during 4 months a year total,
2 months spring,
2 months
yeah.
spring, 2 months fall, it worked out to be $7 per household. And you are fully right that we have to monitor the budget and we have to do our best to deliver, really the most efficient and lean operation that we can and be good stewards of tax dollars. But I think that it's also equally important that we deliver good services and good value for those dollars. And I personally had a hard time, implementing tax bills where people would be paying 5 figures, but we wouldn't pick up their leaves, and we would be asking people to bring them down to the recycling center. So it is an additional cost. Hopefully, the $7 a year is relatively nominal, but I had a hard time having somebody in Stonetown, let's say, paying over $20,000 a year in taxes and not having anywhere to go with their leaves unless they brought them down to the recycling center. So a little bit of context, at least from my perspective. The chief spoke tonight, and he also spoke earlier. I was going to say earlier this week. It was actually last week. They had a school safety panel at Lakeland High School that a lot of the community came out to. Assemblywoman Shapizi had orchestrated it and had some great experts, including our own chief, Wanake's chief, Kathy was there, Mayor Spear. And I think that the chief did a great job of representing the borough. I was very proud that he was our chief. He did a great job talking. And I mentioned to him that evening that I thought that the information that he shared deserved a wider audience, whether it's a presentation that can be put online in some form or some of the key points. But some of the information that he shared deserved a broader audience that he had, especially since a lot of it is, if not counterintuitive, at least the issues with our natural instincts are not clear. And what I mean is, in the case of any kind of school incident, your first instinct as a parent is going to be to call the police, to head down to the school. You want to be near your child, and I don't think that we realize the danger that puts our children in or other residents. So if we flood the dispatch line, trying to treat the police department as an information service, asking what's happening, then other critical calls can't get through to dispatch. If everybody heads down to Lakeland, and he showed some really disturbing photos from other school shootings where people, first responders couldn't get to the building because parents had left cars in the middle of the streets. So they couldn't get ambulance to schools. And so that's something that I don't think people would ever think about. So. Good man. Apologize on the topic. On a completely different note, we had a very productive meeting with I'm gonna come back later. Didn't see that coming.
Okay. Moving on, Councilman Ferretti.
Yes. School's in session. Be careful. Kids are waiting at the bus stops sometimes. Parents and little children waiting for a while. The bus, I know at my stop, has been all different times, ranging about half an hour. So we've been there watching a lot of traffic pass. Please drive carefully. Leaves are falling, and it's going to be a little hectic out there. That's really all I have, though. Please, careful on the roads. I hear about it almost daily, but from parents, whether it's summer or not.
Thank you. Councilman Noonan.
I'd like to say thank you to Chief Walker and all the concerned citizens that came out and provided their opinions and hard information about the whole marijuana licensing and business stuff in town. I was quite impressed. Got a lot more information I received some the other day to read through. I got a lot more. I'm definitely expanding my education about it. And yeah, school's open. Drive carefully, everybody, and you know the days are getting shorter, so be careful. Not as much light.
Councilman Davis.
I have no report, Mayor, unless you want to hear about county election problems.
No, sir. That would be the furthest thing from my mind, as a matter of fact, Councilman.
Tied up with that, my friend.
Ah, okay. Okay, very good. Councilwoman O'Keefe.
Yeah, I'd like the council to consider supporting Senate Bill S2691. I hope you all received a copy of it. It's to hold pharmaceutical companies accountable for illegally marketing and distribution of opioid products and for their role in creating and exacerbating the opioid epidemic in the United States. It's a bill that's pending right now before Congress, and I thought it would be good if we put a recommendation that they pass this bill. And I'd like a motion to do so.
Is that the motion, or you need a motion?
That's the motion, I
That's the
think.
motion.
That's the
I'll
motion.
second.
I'll give you a second. Okay. Okay, being there a motion and a second, matter is open for discussion on United States Senate Bill 2691.
Yes.
What's this, what's it say basically?
Okay, so it's rather lengthy. I don't know if you got it. But it's basically to hold the pharmaceutical companies accountable for illegally marketing and distributing opioid products and their role in creating the epidemic in the United States. There was, I mean, from my knowledge off the top of my head, there was studies that showed in 1995 that opioids were addictive, and they continue to distribute it often to towns like in West Virginia. 400 per resident were getting, the prescriptions were out of hand. Also, in their advertisement, promotion, direct-to-consumer marketing materials, and representation of the opioid as a non-addiction forming or addiction-sustaining liability, it's pretty comprehensive. Basically, what's gone on with opioids is that it's been prescribed and overprescribed for things it never should have been prescribed for. And as a result, we've seen an epidemic of opioid addiction in our country, and it continues to rise, the death count of young people and people across the country from this epidemic, and it is nowhere under control. So this is asking that we hold the pharmaceutical companies responsible for the way they market and also how they advertise these products to the public.
And I'll add one caveat to that. I think that part of the basis is also that they misled physicians in terms of the addictive nature. So they were telling physicians that it was not addictive, even though they had already known that it was. And we have billions in public health care costs, whether it's the consequences treatment related to this addiction and this crisis, where on the other side of the equation they have the profits and we're paying the bills.
I'm getting a note from Tracy that none of you are speaking clearly or loudly into your microphone, so you really need to have them close, or at least close to yourself.
Yeah, we should probably turn it, actually I don't want to touch it, turn it back up where we can get that feedback so we know whether or not we're close to the mic. Yeah, but.
Yes, I'll just talk louder.
Yeah, so I was saying that a part of the foundation of the bill is the fact that the pharmaceutical executives, not only in the marketing to the public, but to physicians, either downplayed or completely omitted the addictive nature of the opioids that were being prescribed, and now the public is saddled with this crisis, the corresponding bills, and they are simply riding the benefits.
And it also seeks reimbursement for the economic impact that it is having on our society in helping to treat them.
I thought that part was awesome.
I
right?
think so, too.
It's like this, any person who violates paragraph 2, if not a natural person, shall be subject to a civil penalty amount of $7,800,000,000. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Okay, we're gonna collect an $8 billion penalty from somebody, or are we just writing stuff? You know, look at it this. In general, I don't want to do this ever, and I don't care what the bill is. If the bill is the Rainbows and Puppies Act of 2018, I don't care. I don't want to do it. I don't want to bother wasting any time trying to figure out the relative merits of Senate Bill 2691, which could be just something, some little vanity project that some lobbyist, that some senator, just stick in front of some committee so that they can go campaign on it later. We don't care. This only serves to give us something to argue about. Therefore, how about we just let it go away, let it do what it does, and we don't argue about it. Here's the guy. Let's see what this dude is. This dude, Dr. Lawrence Greenblatt, is the co-chair of the Opioid Safety Committee at Duke Health and chairs the North Carolina Medicaid Pharmacy and Therapeutics Committee. You know, he speaks pretty convincingly that, yeah, this really would have been great 15 years ago, but we're kind of past that all now. Is his take to it. And you know what? I don't have the expertise. I don't have the jurisdiction. I don't have the interest to try to figure out the relative merits of this versus something else. You're only reacting to a title. You know, do we think that pharmaceutical chemicals should be held accountable for illegal marketing and distribution? Yeah, sure. I think we're kind of along the way. I think that a few executives did wind up in jail for some of that stuff because they were pushing 400 pills per person in some counties in Virginia, West Virginia, Tennessee.
I don't think anyone's been jailed for that.
I think there's been a couple of them, but
I haven't seen it.
In any case, the problem's been recognized and addressed and moved on. So I don't want to take any action on this. I don't know where there is a good enough beginning and end point. Do we wind up debating the whole Senate, the whole Senate calendar? Where do you stop? I don't know. So this is not something I would ever have any interest in, regardless of what it says, actually. And then again, on the merits, this actually should be looked at closer if we take this to be a serious piece of legislation and not just some grandstanding thing where we're going to go fine a company $7 billion. That's my take.
I see no problem supporting Karen. He spent an hour before arguing.
About an ordinance to counteract a statute that hasn't been written yet. You see, they went down the black hole already. Okay. Any comments?
I'd rather just focus my energies a little more locally than worried about what
You want to just
career politicians in the Senate are doing and not doing, and their motivations and so forth. And it's a slippery slope. You start holding people, pharmaceuticals accountable for that. I mean, we're licensed professionals between the manufacturers and the people that got them in their hands. Simple as that. So it's just such a vast thing. Yeah. You phrased it well, John.
If you snuck the fact that opioids are addictive and you got that past doctors, okay, I don't know what we're saying about the medical community at this point. It's pretty well known. But anyway, do you want to just call the question? We'll have a roll call. We have a motion and a second we have the motion and second. So we can just take a roll call on the Borough of Ringwood Council's support for Senate Bill 2691. Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Bolton?
Yes.
Davison?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci?
Yes.
Councilmembers Noonan?
Abstain.
O'Keefe?
Yes.
Mayor Spear?
No.
The other thing here that I wanted to bring up was the efficiency audit for all existing operations at the borough. the mayor just discussed the fact that we're facing challenges in our budget. This is something that companies do often, to have an outside company come in to look at efficiencies, to see if we could do things better, to find ways that we can save. I thought at this juncture, facing these pitfalls ahead of us, it might be a good time for an audit. So I brought the efficiency audit forward for this council's consideration. I'd like to make a movement to move in that direction.
I mean, and for broader context, the Township of West Milford had contracted with Matrix Consulting to perform an audit of their operations, and Kathy had seen their preliminary results at a recent town meeting. And in theory, I do think that the concept is a good one, and we should always be looking at getting more from less and making sure that we're doing things in the most efficient and effective manner possible. I'm curious, and as I know they are, eagerly awaiting the final results of their audit in terms of where opportunities can be had. I'm also a fan of standing on other shoulders and kind of seeing what recommendations they come out with and what might apply here that we could leverage, by virtue of them plowing way ahead of us, pardon the pun, for roads.
When will their results be?
Actually, that I don't
I
know.
thought they were gonna get their final report sometime in October or something. Those supposed to be this fall.
They, when I spoke to the borough manager, she has the preliminary results in the draft document, and I think that they're expecting it in October or early November. So I think that they are working out some details of the draft.
I'd love to see what, not only the specific recommendations that come out, but what savings are identified, because it is an investment, obviously, to take on a bill for a consultant. So having a sense of the payoff always, at least for me, eases the way. And I also know that that's kind of the MO around Borough Hall anyway, and personally would love to see whether it's an official program or just a binder that we put together to kind of catalog all the things that we already do well, or things that we have changed, so that we kind of have a clear view of improvements that we've made in terms of how we do things, and also provide a good forum for employees and residents and really anybody to make suggestions about where there could be an opportunity for change without actually paying a consultant for it. And then taking up the topic of a consultant if the opportunity seems big enough.
The consultants seem to go around $60,000 to $80,000, and their work product is public information. I think I was getting your point there.
Not quite so explicitly, but yeah.
Efficiencies are you gain those in daily management. You don't gain efficiencies while trying to hammer out a budget. You're just imposing certain spending restraints, but there's no efficiencies to be gained. Efficiencies are constant, diligent management and a deep understanding of all the roles and the scope and what we can accomplish as with this workforce. We have. I would like to see just how many personnel we are down. It used to be a part of our budget presentations. I think we've leveled off recently, even though we had 4 employees this year that we had to buy out the last couple of years of healthcare to try to entice them to retire. But every year part of the budget was talking about how many less employees we're using this year. So I don't know how many more efficiencies there are. I will be paying close attention to West Milford. We can take this as, because we're all on board. Nobody's going to oppose efficiency. Is the opposite of efficiency wasting money? Is that right? I'm not going to put myself on that side of the coin, but do we spend money to, you know, to try to chase this elusive efficiency? We can take a look at it next budget cycle and see if there's $60,000 or $80,000 that would be well spent on this particular effort.
Mayor, I have to tell you, I don't oppose it at all. I think that, you know, we do these type of things in Borough Hall every month when we have department head meetings. And listen, if there's a way we can be more effective and we need somebody that looks, you know, from 5,000 feet and sees something differently, I absolutely have no problem, and I've talked to our department about it. Ironically, what exactly you're talking about, Councilman, we do here. The reason that you got the ordinance for the vacant homes is because in the department head meetings every month I talk about, okay, listen, we have to be effective, we have to be efficient, we have to think out of the box, and what things are costing us money here that we need to, you know, to look at, and that we can bring in some more revenues that may not affect the taxpayers and help the taxpayers. And that's why we do all these shared services, and we talk about this all the time when we go to meetings outside of the building. So, listen, I have no problem with it. I am not looking forward to trying to fund, you know, a $60,000 or $70,000 study, because that's a salary that has to get eliminated to pay for that. But having said all of that, listen, if the council feels that that's in the best interest of the council, ultimately, I certainly have no objection to having something like that done. But I do agree with you. Let's see what West Milford actually comes out with. I don't think, based upon my preliminary discussions, that they're going to get a huge benefit from their funding, but we'll see what the final report comes out to be.
And sometimes the recommendations are investments where it's like, oh, things would be so much better if you bought system X that would ease things up. But again, that's more money. And I want to be careful and clear about the message that we're sending to our employees too, in terms of, like, we're not looking to shake people out of the trees here. This is not headcount for a consultant or anything even remotely close to that nature. That's not where we're looking to get efficiencies.
And the other thing that we can do is look at some of these efficiency studies, because governmental bodies, though they're slightly different, the health department, you can look at what they did. The building department, you can look at what they did. And we're not going to be exactly the same, because we're, you know, 27 square miles and that X amount of residents, but you can glean some things from other reports before you decide what you're really looking to isolate, and maybe you can get something cheaper. But so anyway, I just want you to know from the borough's perspective, we don't have any problem.
It's something to bring up next February, though, as we go into budget, you know, the budget talks.
Okay.
You know, there'd be to just, you know, throw out that reminder that, yeah, there is still some efficiencies that we could look at. In the meantime, we'll try to rib our way to some further wisdom. Anything else?
Yeah, Cupsall Lake closed for Labor Day weekend, which was a real hit to the community overall. It was a disappointment, I'm sure, to a lot of the members. I sit on the environmental committee at Cupsall Lake. I know Councilman Martucci sits on Skyline Lakes, and the lakes do everything they can to mitigate the problems that they have. I just feel that there should be more county and state involvement in making sure that we preserve our lakes and our lake way of life. Maybe stream management. Is there a way for us to reach out to county government, to state government, to get help and assistance? I mean, these are volunteers that are at the lakes trying to do this work. They're doing all the testing. They're running up streams. They're checking out everything. But I think they could use a lot more support. And I'm wondering how we could find support for our lake community to ensure the health and the viability and the recreational viability of all our lakes, because I think it's very important to this community.
I think that the health officer is looking for different educational opportunities for that. I think going to the state, let's be honest, the reservoirs who shut down Cupsall Lake. Now, it was for a good reason, but the reservoir, the state agency came in and they noticed it, and they called DEP, and then they called us second. So I think, though, probably from looking to the state to do that, the state wouldn't do the testing quick enough so that you could reopen the lake. They made certainly commitments and they didn't follow through it. But I do think, I agree with you that while I don't think the state is the best opportunity to help us protect the lakes, because they're not really looking out for the interest of the lakes, I think that there are some educational things that we need to do, and I'm looking at some stormwater aspects, and I've met with the health officer. We have a new dynamic shared service for health officer, and she's looking for some different areas. She has a similar problem in her community where she's from, and we're trying to find ways that we can assist the lakes to try and help them with this natural problem that's occurring, and streams and the lakes are a big problem, whether it's septic management, whether it's, you know, whatever the case may be, there's alternatives. We are going to be like digging out the seepage pit, not the seepage pit, the settling ponds on Duffy to give it a spot, and we were going to do it this summer when, you know, it was August and it was dry and it was trickle and we wouldn't have to pump as much. Well, we didn't have that, but that's still on our radar. So there's some things that we've already met with the lake associations to try and help them with. That's why I de-snag, that's why we do siltation chambers and we do that stuff. So we're doing that already in-house, but we are looking through our health officer to try and to find some education and what can we do to make it better. She talked to me at length the other day about the septic ordinance, and I said, well, here are the problems. Maybe there are some ways, and we had a great 45-minute session about how she thinks that what we need to do and how I can find a way to come up with a compromise so that the citizens can accept it and buy into it, and that's a big part of some of the problems that are happening there.
Yeah, I think education is a big part of what has to happen in the community. I mean, everything we do affects our lakes.
So once the Cupso was shut down, she and I have had a lot of discussions about what's the best thing to do and how do we effectuate change without turning the cart upside down, you know, and there's things that we can do. And so anyway, so we've already started having those conversations, and I think the lakes deserve it.
We can do everything we can. I don't know if we're getting outside support.
Well, the Highlands Act is supposed to protect our water, and we would like the Highlands to pay attention to the lakes as well as the reservoir to make sure that our communities stay viable for the way we enjoy them with the lake communities, right?
So they'll write new rules letting you use them less.
Oh.
That's what we'll end up.
Sometimes you have to be careful where you ask for it. You might just get it.
Okay.
So, but I do agree with your theory. We need to get a resource that's available to the lakes to try and assist.
And some support for all these environmental groups at the lakes to see if maybe they can have more help in testing and keeping lakes viable. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was to say thank you to all the members of the community who have stepped up to help us revitalize the Economic Development Commission. We had a great group of bipartisan group that came out I guess it was August, or was it July? And we're going to have another meeting on Wednesday, September 26th, is it, Ryan?
Wednesday.
So a big shout out to Robert Guzio, Tom McGowan, Ned Clausen, Mitch Kahn, Ann Zybecker, Tom McGowan, Ron Martin, Tom Penorfi, and Kristen Holton. And if I missed anyone, I do apologize, but the mayor was there, Ryan was there, and we're working to find economic opportunities for our community based on our strengths. And I just commend them all for helping us to move forward with this. So that's it for me tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. What about me? Mr. Deputy Mayor.
I have a few things, but just a comment on the lakes. This year was a tough year. The rain and the type of rain we got, where you had these deluges of rain, okay, washed into the lakes, a lot of debris and runoff, and in some cases, a septic system in a leach field is fine. But when the ground gets saturated with water, okay, some of the water winds up going through the leach fields and out into the lakes. And sometimes you can't help it because the weather is the weather. And, but we didn't have a lot of rain. It was a hard rain, and it affected everything from the lakes to the trees around the lakes. After we had the snow in March, then we had the rainy months, so we still had some trees falling and stuff like that. But the things I want to talk about is we had a discussion tonight about marijuana, and then we had a discussion a while ago about opioids. This is all affecting our teens. Okay, you still see in the paper where somebody overdosed, somebody, it's affecting the teens, and that's why I'm opposed to having anything to do with marijuana with this town, because the chief has his hands full enough just trying to take care of the kids that we do have in town. Okay, and the other problem is that the strength of the marijuana, whatever we're using, compared to many years ago, sometimes is stronger. So the effects on people 21 year and older is still, you can't measure it like you would alcohol, so many shots, so many beers. So it does have a big effect on teens. The other thing with teens and adults, but texting, I mean, you go into stores, you go into places, and people are, there's got to be a point where there's some common sense, even with the adults. I mean, I've seen it down by my beach, husband and wife, and they're both in the diner, same thing. We gotta start talking and talking with the kids. I mean, it's great to have 1,000 friends on the internet, but if you don't have the physical contact, it hurts. My last point is tailgating. On Ringwood Avenue, around the lake, I had pickup trucks on my bumper. Tonight, coming up here, I had a pickup truck almost all the way up here on my bumper. Where'd it go? Okay, so there's got to be a way of curtailing it somehow, because it's an annoyance. This pickup truck, the headlights are definitely shining into my mirror. So, anyway, with that, good night.
Go home and talk to my wife at dinner. You're right.
I really mean it this time. I would like a motion to adjourn.
You
I
got
would
it.
like, I do want to jump back in because I had some real things. Sorry, not that school safety wasn't real. And I'll be very, very quick. The tailgating comment actually reminded me, and I thought it was a different type of tailgating. Special Olympics is
Special
having
Olympics,
on
yes.
October 6th, a tailgating event at Cupsall Lake. Look for information. I don't know that I have the details aside from October 6th, 3 p.m. Should be a great time and obviously a great cause. The plus side of Cupsall Lake being closed, I can't believe I'm saying there's a plus side, but I finally got out and checked out the Highlands Natural Pool, which for anyone in town, if they haven't gone, is fantastic. Had a great time cheating on my lake in Stonetown. It was wonderful. The more important order of business that I wanted to raise, it just came to my attention immediately prior to the meeting. There is apparently a deadline for a large amount of federal grants that the New Jersey the New Jersey Department of Transportation has a deadline for, and that they will lose $12 million in transportation alternative set-aside programs that have gone towards different rails and bike trails and various programs, and they've got a huge backlog of unspent federal dollars that'll be returned to DC. And so what I would like us to do is to pass a resolution asking the governor and our assembly representatives to direct the Department of Transportation to take whatever action is necessary to preserve that funding and move it into other areas so that we're not losing those grant monies. And I can forward what I got.
That's a more direct Ringwood bearing subject to bring up at the table.
Don't give away money that we need.
Federal nonsense. So that would be what, resolution number 2018-189, and that would be requesting our state senator and state assembly people and
Governor.
There's a whole list of.
There's a whole list. We've got the Commissioner of I can't read. Commissioner of NJ Department of Transportation, Diane Gutierrez Gassetti, forgive my pronunciation, Phil Murphy, Sheila Oliver, Holly Shapizi, Bob Off, and Senator Cardinale.
Very good. To try to preserve the funding that is in the Federal Transportation Alternative Set-Asides Program.
That'll be resolution 190.
190? Okay, do we have that motion? Mr. Bolton, was that a motion?
I will move it.
And I'll second.
Any discussion?
You're asking a lot of the DOT.
Hey, we gotta try it. There's a 9:30
The
deadline,
state
otherwise
DOT.
I've waited.
They're gonna let the trains fall apart, and they're gonna lose the federal money too on the other side. Yeah, just back the bus up to 505 State Street, and just take them all out. Roll call, please, on 2018-190.
Councilmembers Bolton?
Yes.
Davison?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci?
Yes.
Councilmembers Noonan?
Yes.
O'Keefe?
Yes.
Mayor Spear?
Yes. Okay, now can we end?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
Wait.
There's a man that makes sense right there.
Who did the motion?
That was Mr. Ferretti's motion, Mr.
Ferretti.
Newman's second.
Okay.
Moved it the
Okay,
third
and
time.
other
I
silent
did the
Mr.
first
Bolton.
two.
But we will take a roll call, please.
Councilmembers Bolton?
Yes.
Davison?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci?
Yes.
Councilmembers Noonan?
Absolutely.
O'Keefe? Mayor Spear?
Yes. Thank you all.
Get home to that little boy.
I think you've never been on any kind of project
Absolutely.
dealing with like the DOT.